Like they're not entertaining when they go up against.
Hey, they're the
MOUZ.
only stage 1 team to ever make it all the way to the playoffs.
Wow, in all the 2 tournaments that we had.
Shut up!
Thank
Don't
you,
bring in the
Janko.
contextual logic. Just give me the stat, dude.
Thank you, Janko. Thank you.
Well, they're talking to the wrong
Jesus.
analyst, Jason, for that. I don't know, man.
Oh my God, guys!
times.
I right at the end of the year, I screwed up my travel home so bad, so badly. So I stopped in New York for a day before going to Budapest. And then I had Starladder do my New York to Budapest flight. And when I got it, I didn't look super closely. It's end of the year, a little bit tired, a little bit burnt out. Some of the details on certain things have eluded me, as you all know. And I didn't realize that they got me a flight back to New York, not back home to Michigan. Oh. I learned about that 2 days before I left. It's entirely my fault, not Starladder's.
Oh dear.
And as it turns out, Delta from Grand Rapids only goes to like LaGuardia. It doesn't go to JFK. So I flew into JFK. So then I would have had to land in JFK from Paris and then take a taxi from JFK to LaGuardia and then fly home to Grand Rapids. But the timing of that flight didn't work. So then I had to just book a ticket through Delta to go. There's no direct flights from JFK to Grand Rapids, so I ended up giving myself a fucking 4th flight home. I had a 24-hour 3-stopper, 4 flights: Budapest to Paris, Paris to New York, New York to Detroit, Detroit to Grand Rapids.
How long have you been home for?
I've been home for 11 hours.
So you've slept?
Not much. I went to put the kid down. She was a little bit excited to see me, I think. She didn't go to sleep for about 2 hours. I was just telling Yanko this. As soon as I got her down after 2 hours of work, I climbed out of her bed. I go to walk out of the room to go back to my own bed for the first time in 3 weeks. And as the door lightly closed, she woke up.
So she come in your bed. You have
She came in our bed, and then she was rolling around and kicking and couldn't get back to sleep again for like another hour and a half. So then I eventually just left the bed and went and slept. I went and slept in the kids' bed while her and Jane slept in our bed. So that was, and then I got up at 7 a.m.
So basically, you need a bigger bed in your bedroom, so you all 3 can fit in.
I don't know what I need. I need Jesus.
Now, Yanko, you missed a key detail throughout the major, and this is the most important question for Jason, and he's going to have a tough time admitting this. But Jason, did the Magic the Gathering cards get home safely?
The Magic the Gathering cards got home really safely. I checked when we got to Detroit. I pulled them out, made sure none of them got bent, creased. They're all there. They're all nice. They're looking great. I was telling Yanko too, I haven't had a lot of sleep in the past like 4 days because we spent the last 4 days being up until like literally 3 to 5 in the morning, depending on the night, playing Magic the Gathering at the hotel bar.
Oh, how the times have changed, gentlemen. 10 years ago, it was a whole different story, wasn't it?
It was an admirable idea on my part, I feel. I thought I'd step into the Magic the Gathering group and destroy them from within so we could all go back to going out to the clubs, getting fucked up, and having horrible hangovers every single day of an event. That's what I was trying to get us. I was trying to get us back. Realm? Yeah, it might be. I'm still new, but I just got drawn in, so it backfired. It's like an Uno reverse.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I never played Magic the Gathering, but I am hooked to I'm playing Settlers of Catan.
Oh yeah, you've got a little nerdiness to you as well.
The Seafarers expansion. Yeah, I'm actually going after this to play it. But so I could understand that. So if it were this game, I would be all down for it. But it's crazy because it wasn't that's so stupid. It's almost 10 years ago, Jason. I think it's 9 years. It was 2017, and there was that V4 event in Budapest.
Yeah.
Maybe it was even 2016. Maybe it was 10 years ago because there was a couple of them. Anyway, we're in Budapest for the first time, and since Budapest is like 4-hour drive from Belgrade, it's relatively close, right? I had all the friends from my group came, and like 2 of them were living abroad at the time in Switzerland and in Austria, so they flew over. Guys from Belgrade drove up. It was like a couple of days event, and I was there for the event. Jason was there casting. with Matt at the time, or I think
No,
Matt and Henry were there. You were with
Henry
Anders.
there. I was with
maybe.
Anders at the time.
Yeah. Trans was there, still working for Twitch, just still the good old days when Twitch was like footing bills at bars as part of marketing, I guess, or whatever. So yeah, 10 years
It
ago,
works.
Jason,
Good
we did
advertisement.
have
Everyone
some-
knows the name of Twitch, probably
You're
because
just-
of those nights.
You just need like, 5 to 7 Serbians, right? And you're not playing any fucking Magic the Gathering with them. I'll tell you that. It's all sorts of different magic happening. It turns into Magic City at that point, if you feel me.
Oh, I feel you on that one. Yeah, the Rakia is especially magical over there in that world.
Oh, in Budapest, and everyone's asking, where's that guy? What's trans up to these days? They remember him. When I said the major was going to be in Budapest, they're like, shit, man, that was like a fun couple of days. They rented an Airbnb. Oh my god, there's so many stupid stories. Like
Budapest was vastly different this time, Janko.
It was 6 of them or 7 of them in this Airbnb, right? And it's like a bigger flat, sure, but still they're sharing rooms and whatnot. So one of these nights, 2 or 3 of them, however, one of my friends brings back a girl, right? But he doesn't really have anywhere to go with her because, all these rooms are like, there's 3 or 4 dudes sleeping in there on 2 beds, right? He can't like kick 4 guys out. They have nowhere to go, even though he tried. And then he goes to the bathroom with her. But
bloody hell,
as he had this brilliant idea of putting her on the sink breaks.
Of course it did. That's not safe. It's porcelain. She could have died.
and could have died from a number of things, but yeah. So that breaks. Somehow it broke the window. I can imagine she threw something at him and that's what broke the window. So that's like where, a couple of guys woke up, those who weren't like mega drunk. Obviously she left. But then he went to one of my friends who's a structural engineer, he's like, and he was like, yo, wake up, I need you, we need to fix something. And he like takes him into the bathroom and is like, can we like glue this together? And it's like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? You broke the fucking sink. I'm not like, yeah, we can just go to IKEA tomorrow, and buy a new. No, you can't. And it was like for the last day, they had to wash their teeth in the sink in the kitchen. So yeah, that's only one of the things that happened. But Budapest, I have very fond memories from Budapest. It's a really fun city.
I left the hotel today for the 4th time. So other than
Where'd
going
you
to
go?
the venue,
But
so
did
you go to the mall next door?
No, it's different, Yanko. That's how you know it's different. I didn't go to the mall. I guess leaving the mall is kind of leaving the hotel, but it's attached to the hotel, so it's not really leaving the hotel in my mind. Yeah. I'm still in the same structural building as I would be. So, but no, I had to go to the player hotel today to do some media, which I made as snappy as possible for the players. So we got them in and out real quick. So hopefully it is what style that I wanted, right? Because they normally at these type of events, we play a bit more of a role in what's going on in the media day. Here it's like, here's a bunch of questions, ask the players the questions. That's it. And I was like, all right, fine. That makes my life super easy.
Really nice.
And I'm not responsible for the questions whatsoever. So even though I'm the man asking them, I didn't come up with them. So Jason, you had to do that a couple of times. But yeah, that was all today was. And then tomorrow, I don't know, maybe we do a rehearsal. Let's wait and see. That's going to be the next big thing over here in Budapest. But otherwise, I haven't gone and seen anything. I walked through today the Christmas markets. I was walking through. I saw Donna and Caro, and I was like, oh, wow, me and Scrawny were walking home. We just had a quick chat to them and then kept on walking, and that's all I've done. Woke up, some media. Here I am. It's time for a podcast. Yeah, I said pog. What are you going to do about it?
Podcast.
What are you going to do about it? So, Jason, I feel bad for your travel day, man.
Don't feel bad. It was my fault. It's a very humbling lesson after 10 years in this job and all this travel of having not made that mistake. It was a very humbling moment for me. But a rough lesson to learn, but a necessary lesson, a reminder to pay attention to the details of travel.
Okay, and a detail that's very important, near and dear and close to my heart is when will Janko get the opportunity to get his hands on the Wooting 60 HEV2, so he has the split spacebar, Jason. He's been talking about it. He's been raving about it. When's he getting his hands on it?
They're going to send him one. I don't think it's been sent yet, but I can poke them this week. I need to know, Janko, if you prefer the silver or black versions.
He wants the silver one, man.
I want the silver one, yeah. I missed out on the white one in the last go around.
I did jack the white one real quick.
So silver one would be the next best thing, and maybe Jason, can ship it to your place and Can bring it
Okay.
next time I see you.
Yeah.
Paying 50% of the value
yeah.
of it on customs is I'm not too keen.
So you won't get it by Christmas or Serbian Christmas, but maybe by Easter.
That's all right.
Okay, it will be before Easter, but Easter was the next real holiday that I could pick. You won't get it by Australia Day.
And maybe if we get it to him by Easter, we could actually put it in like a giant Easter egg.
Okay.
And he could crack it open
Now
and
you're
the
talking.
keyboard will come out. Yeah, that
What
would
type
be
of
a cool way
chocolate
to
do you
do
want, Yanko? Dark chocolate, white chocolate, milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate?
Milk
White-
chocolate.
Milk chocolate? Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty boring in that sense.
Milk chocolate's
Sure.
the best chocolate. Anyone who says otherwise is delusional, and I won't hear it. I don't want to read it in the comments. I know there's going to be a guy going,
Well, actually, 95% cacao is chocolate is great for the blood pressure.
or someone saying,
Which
white
voice
chocolate
is
is
this?
man, I don't know.
That's
a
the
great voice.
YouTube. That's the YouTube comments voice.
That's a great voice.
I just like, I've found myself again. I'm back. There's like a couple months ago, I was like, guys, I'm like not in the gym and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. I'm back doing it
You're
all.
back.
I'm
Let's
back,
fucking
baby. Right in time. So we'll see how long I last before I fall off the wagon again.
You're almost there though. You can carry this through. You're almost at the end, the light at the end of the tunnel, and then you get to go back home and you get to go see Australia.
Yeah, for 3 weeks because of this award show. Thanks, Prof. Why you put the award show right before the season starts? Couldn't you put it in the middle of the season?
At least it's in another great place.
Yeah, that's true. We're going back to Belgrade.
We don't have beaches or sun or
Jason laughing.
a running country, but
Because I
We
agree
got
with him.
good
It is a
food.
great place.
Yeah.
and Rakia.
And good
So-
people. We could do a live episode, not a live episode, but we could do an episode in Belgrade together. Because I don't know if you've heard this, Yanko. I ain't doing another podcast episode. As soon as this event ends, I'm taking 3 weeks. Even though there's going to be roster changes galore, shit's going to be popping off. People are going to be saying, Chad, come and do podcasts.
SPUNJ.
Device just joined Vitality and he's going to be the coach or something, right? Something crazy is going to happen. I'm going to be like, nah, I need those 3 weeks. I need the 3 weeks with
I'm
the
with you, man.
family. Right, I've got a niece and a nephew. We're gonna hang out. They don't even know who I am. We got to say hi. I got to go for a swim. I got to do something. I got to see if my apartment's still standing.
Yeah, man.
I just need those 3 weeks. That's all I need, guys.
It's
We're-
hard-earned 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm assuming Yanko and I might do an episode after the grand final ends, but I think after that we'll probably be on hiatus for a while. I have some idea for some content for the channel to keep some things pumping out during the break that I'll be on top of. But podcast wise, this will probably 2 episodes left before the end of the year. This one and then after the grand final, and
Okay.
then we'll probably chill until next year. I won't
Which is
be at
a shame.
HLTV Awards.
Oh, sorry, what?
I'm at Flom's event, so you guys can do an episode in Belgrade. Jinko and I are going out to Vegas, and we're casting Flom's event to start the year.
Also choosing Vegas over Serbia, Jason.
Choosing money over Serbia, yes.
Well, Jason,
Yeah.
that's great. Well, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to learn how to do the editing and stuff. Then I suppose. No, we
No,
were.
I can do the editing. If you guys just send the file,
Okay.
you don't have to
I
learn
can
the
do that.
editing. I can handle all that shit.
We were talking about new tech, Yanko. We were talking about instead of having to carry these mics around everywhere, there's these little like clip-on ones, which
yeah.
are apparently like god tier, the ones we're looking up, and we can get like 2 packs of 4, and they could be the way forward. And then we don't need to worry about like so much clunkiness and carrying around the mics and the stand. You never need a mic stand again. You will never need a mic stand again.
I'm sold. Let's do it.
We're looking to investing into that into the new year. That'll be one of the step ups as well, I think.
Yes, it will.
And then you know what also be cool with them is because they're like battery powered and they're handheld. When we're actually at events like green rooms or we're walking around at the hotel with players, you know, the thing that I always said that we should do, get in the player to quickly say, you know, Talking Counter podcast, like and subscribe, or, you know, hit the bell or ask them a quick question. We can do all those things, guys. We can start expanding the repertoire of what's available and what the people at Talking Counter Discord. That's right, people. If you're listening right now and you're thinking, Discord, I use Discord. Well, you can join the Talking Counter Discord. There's like 3,500
Holy
people in
shit,
there
Chad
that you
really
can
is
talk
on top of
Counter-Strike
shit.
about. You guys can go in there, you can chat to your heart's content. And guess what? I'm even in the chat now. Are you going to get any information? No. But will I troll the fuck out of you? Yes. So come
I'll
and have a
probably
good
ban a
time.
few of you.
No, I only ban people who are spamming crypto shit. There's a guy there trying to get people to sign up to crypto scams. So I was banned that guy.
Henry's on our
Psychological got
Discord?
banned.
That's not bad. That's a
Yeah,
decent
I missed
reference.
it. But Psychological's banned. He will never be unbanned. He'll be banned forever. You cannot take something and then post it out of context on the internet. That's not allowed. We know that. That's simple stuff. Leave that to CS2 News, right? Don't be.
Exactly.
You don't need the clicks that bad. No one needs the clicks that bad.
No one needs clicks.
Well,
except for us, we need clicks. Click on our stuff.
Clicks. Yeah, get your mum to watch this podcast. She'll love it. We talk about itchy buttholes. A guy in the crowd in Budapest came up to me. Don't pull that face, Jason. He wants more chat like that. Guy in the crowd came up to me and I had a quick chat to him and he's like, hey man, I'm talking Canalist. I'm like, oh sick, like this is awesome. He's like, yeah, when are you guys going to be talking about itchy buttholes again? I'm like, well, it's not itchy at the moment.
Did he actually say that to you?
Yeah.
This is a real story?
People want more men's health talk, Jason.
Well, we can do men's health talk, but focusing, zeroing in on the itchy butthole side
was
of
itchy,
things.
Jason, after that 24-hour travel and the 4th flight.
Oh man, dude, I wore the same clothes for like 43 hours. It was the clothes I wore from the broadcast because I was playing a Magic the Gathering game. My shuttle was at 3:50 and I was playing a Magic the Gathering game until like 4 o'clock because I had to win it. I was in the lead and I had to close everything out. And I had one last turn that I had to do to eliminate Alex, Connor, Launders, and Harry all in one turn. It was the most intense shit ever. And I'm just sat there staring at my watch like, boys, hurry up with your turns. Let's get it around to me. And then, it just so happened, I just, the clothes that I wore at the broadcast on the last day, had to go back to the hotel. I didn't get my typical shower before going to the airport. It was a mess. Magic just, it really made a tough travel day for me, but I won the game and that's all that fucking matters. That's all I needed.
If that doesn't tell you how big of a competitor Jason is, nothing will.
Well, I told them, I was like, I don't care how long your turn takes. I will show up a day late to see my family to win this game of Magic. No matter what you guys do, I will miss my flight and I will show up 24 hours late to home just to win this fucking game.
I know nothing about this game, right? I see them playing it and I zone out. I leave. I'm not there for that. That's fine. I'm glad they're having a good time, right? That's it. But there's something that I did glean is that Jason, the deck that he plays, takes all the fun out of the game. That's what I learned. I learned that Jason is there to suck the fun out of it for everybody else involved. That's the one thing I learned about him and the way he conducts himself in Magic the Gathering.
But not for him, Chad. Yeah, and you can respect that, I feel
it's a lot of fun for me. For those of you who do play Magic at home and you might be listening to this podcast, I went and bought a pre-con of the Planeswalker Party Commander deck. That's the one I'm playing. And yeah, it was a lot of fun for me. It's a complicated deck. The first few days were a little bit rough, but once I started clicking into how it works and how it operates, yeah, everyone else had a lot less fun.
That means once he watched 100 YouTube videos on it and,
2 YouTube videos and 4 articles, not a big deal. I bang that out in the toilet in the morning, man. It's not a big deal.
How do people have time for this? I don't even have time for myself, let alone a fucking hobby of this degree. Jesus, gentlemen, it's taken off. Yanko's playing Catan, you're playing Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that I enjoyed the hardcore of the week, and I probably won't do any more hardcore research until the next time I have to show up at an event and play somebody in a game.
You're going to be training. You found the local club. You're going to be out there, Jason. You're going to be.
I might.
It'd be cool if you guys were playing like Yu-Gi-Oh or something, right? And then you could be getting yourself the Exodia or the.
Cool. They probably have a Yu-Gi-Oh Magic collaboration. Magic has a lot of collabs.
Okay.
Anyways.
Hey, welcome to the
Magic the Gathering podcast.
Talking Magic.
Interrupting your regularly scheduled podcast. As you all know, we've been working with Wooting throughout the Budapest Major in conjunction with their release of the new Wooting 60HE V2. Chad and I actually did an unboxing video when we were over in Budapest, but now that I'm home and have access to, not hotel lighting, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a closer look at what we're actually working with because it's obviously available for pre-order. They were kind enough to give us a few, so let's check it out. Here we have the 60HE V2. Obviously, one thing you'll notice is the silver aluminum casing. You'll also notice the split spacebar, but let me go through the thing. Aluminum casing, it feels really nice. It feels really, really sturdy. I'm going to just bounce it off the table. Sorry, not bounce it, but give it a little... one thing I've liked about it, because it's a little bit heavier and a little bit sturdier and has this metallic casing, it doesn't just randomly shift from normal day-to-day use whatsoever on my desk when I've used it for typing, when I've used it for emails when I was over in Budapest. We didn't have access to gaming PCs over there. Other thing is going to be the split spacebar design. Now, I was surprised at how infrequently I mistakenly hit this middle button just while going day-to-day typing and browsing the web. They've done a really good job of making that feel pretty, I want to say intuitive, but pretty easy for my muscle memory to just adapt to. This left spacebar split is a little bit longer than this right one, so your thumb doesn't it has a little bit more space to not slip off. And I was able to just go through and kind of kill it and bang out some emails during the major. Super impressive, right? Now, obviously, this comes with all the standard Wooting stuff, true 8K polling, adjustable actuation points, rapid trigger, and obviously there's Utility is the entire software that they use that you don't even actually have to install. You can actually use it right online, and it doesn't take any like real craziness. Just access it from the browser. I've loved it. I'm gonna keep playing with it. I'm excited to game with it this week. Also, because I'm a little bit of a nerd with some other games, like for League of Legends. I'm going to maybe bind it to a flash key because they told me that was kind of a cool idea. So I'm going to take that for a test drive. Don't tell any of my Counter-Strike friends. But actually, one cool thing I'm going to get into today, just as a last thing before we get you back to the episode, I have my old Wooting 2HE, which I've had for about a year and a half or so. And what I'm going to do today, because I've been diving into this world and getting more and more intrigued, I'm going to be installing these new Lekker Tikken swishes that came with the box. So I'm going to put those in because these have all the other just Lekker switches. And the Lekker Tikken is supposed to reduce like this wobble mobility on the lateral movement of keys. And that's one thing that I think, because I've been using this 60HE V2 and the 60HE, I've really kind of gotten used to not having that wobble.
But gentlemen, are you ready for this? Are you
Yeah.
ready for this? I've been prepping this. I haven't done this on camera before. I've VO'd this a couple of times. We want to see how good this turns out. All right, this might be clipped, so I want to make sure I nail this. It's begun, gentlemen. Rostermania. We're not using that term. The off-season window. It's begun. It's begun. It's already started. I know the major's going on. I know we want to talk about the major, but guess what? We can't talk about the major. We can't just talk about the games and the playoffs. They're not letting us. They're not letting us do it. They're signing people. This roster's happening. It's all popping off, guys. And we need to compose ourselves, okay? Yeah. All right. We need to get through this news to start before we get to the major. As much as I want to talk about the major and the bracket, everything that's happened, Yanko's opinion on the humiliation ritual, how he would have felt about it, how he would have conducted himself, all that. We're going to get to that. Don't you worry. We need to talk about the news that's coming out today. Let's do the boring one first, and then we'll get into the good one. So, okay. Pain apparently benching DGT and Dev1ce. So they're getting rid of the South Americans. They're just going to keep the Brazilians. They got Snow, NQZ, and Sani. Not Insani. That's who I want them to get. Big Uzira. So that's already happening. So because they had a pretty miserable run here at the major. I'll be fair. To be fair. So that's already happening, gentlemen. Pick your dream 2 players to go around those 3. And I'll give you an option. Once you're 3 months into the season, you can trade out one of the core for an extra man once they have enough VRS points.
Oh, my Lord. You just made that so fucking complicated for my brain.
Yeah, but fun though, right, Jason?
I mean, I think Insani's got to be in there, right? Like Insani's
already planted that seed, didn't I?
Yeah, well, I mean, Insani's got to be one of the guys you target for that situation. What else we got? What are the other Brazilians we have?
I was going with LaCounzy. Dust just replied to the tweet that I made and said, because I'm just back to just tweet and shit wildly and see what happens.
Yes. I saw
and Dust
that.
replied and he was like, oh, but they already tried it. Yeah, but they tried it. And then LaCounzy said, this team ain't for me. And then he left. It's not like they got rid of LaCounzy. I think LaCounzy and Insani together, good. I think the rest of them, of MIBR, not good. I think like Exit being an in-game leader that's on all the extremities and playing such a slow play style, that ain't going to work. Like no disrespect to Exit, it just doesn't work, right? Breno's fine. Right? Like, I think get LaCounzy and Insani together, then put Snow back on the anchoring roles that he was doing before. I know that he's like, yay, they're letting me be free again. Snow have a sock. And he's getting to play aggressive and stuff again, right? Yeah.
He's 10 times better now than he was in the anchoring roles. He's actually playing the game of Counter-Strike.
I'm getting rid of Snow as well,
wants to replace him.
Snow's gone too.
As the third player down the line, Snow's out.
Yeah.
All right, Chad, so let's hear it. You already worked all this out.
That's so unreasonable, Chad. He's just giving you a glimpse of what he can do. He's finally getting the chance to shine. He's finally given the chance to grow into professional Counter-Strike, and he's shown that he can handle the heat, and you're still just slapping him back to reality.
Listen, Jason, it's a tough world, the Counter-Strike world. You know that. You know that as much as I do.
Unforgiving.
It's going to be a South American, guys.
It's your idea. I'm going to let you have it. I'm going to let you take it. Big User, NQZ, Snow, and Sani. You're going to replace Snow later on. I don't really know who the 5th would be.
Thomason.
Oh, that's an old school shout. That's like an Austin Major level shout. He was the one who popped off at the Austin Major, right?
Yeah.
Well,
In a
I actually
way.
kind of like that idea.
In a way, he's playing for best tier right now, but that's my roster, guys. Obviously, we have to start with the core, right? We have to get a couple games under our belt. We need to make sure that we stay in the bubble, and then we, as Pain, aka the team that I'm now managing from afar, gets some experience and some good firepower in the likes of Insani and Lakauzi, and then we're going to take a punt on this Thomas and kid. We're going to bring him into a team where Big Uzera is a good in-game leader. NQZ is the best AWPer that you have from Brazil. I think the other name you could bring into the mix is Try, but I think he's had a couple of chances, so we'll just stay with NQZ, and then we bring Thomason in, and he's our fifth piece of the puzzle that takes over from Snow. Young lad, 21 years of age, good potential there, and we see where we land. That's it, guys. So Pain, the check, please put it in the mail. You can send it to Australia or Malta.
I was laughing when I saw your tweet because I was sat there and I was kind of like that, just knowing the region of Brazil and how hard buyouts are, that feels like, like just trying to imagine how much that would cost to buy all these players out from the different orgs. I'm just like, that's got to be like a $4 million investment.
Yeah, but surely MIBR know like shit ain't going either. What are you going to do over there, right? You have Kicker and you have Klim, both who are on loan, right? So and
that project clearly does not fucking work in any way.
No, like Klim, they gave all the resources, right? They were setting him up. They were dropping him AKs. They were dropping him Deagles. They were, as an AWPer, he was taking the jewels because they were making sure to flash for him and set him up. Whereas like a lot of other AWPers are the ones setting up their riflers and stuff. So they weren't even running a system that makes sense in the modern game right now. And he was good. Like Klim, I think, was steady. He was doing the job that was required when asked upon him. And he had some really good moments. So I'm not detracting from him, but he was a player who was funneled a lot of resources. And I don't think that's the long plan forward anyway. So MIBR need to think like, hey, if we can make some money, don't fucking bend people over the barrel. Like let's kind of make it relatively reasonable.
You didn't add
That's
anyone
been
from
the
Legacy.
story like it's for years now for everyone, and no one is willing to do that.
Why do you want to break up Legacy, Jason?
Do you think Insani is broken
Mentally
or not?
from being in this team for so long?
Yeah,
probably, but we can save him, Yanko.
he's still savable, salvageable. Actually, is the correct word.
What you hope is he's not like broken. You hope he's just like gone into hibernation, where he's just said like, "This shit is fucked."
Yeah,
like,
he's
I'm
on
just
autopilot.
Gonna, yeah, he's like, I'm just gonna wait for something to break back out again. But I can't be burning myself out in this team that's going fucking nowhere. That's doing
he's in
nothing.
his K-Serrato arc right now, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But
just preserving his life essence for the next lineup that can actually get some shit done.
Yeah. I don't know. I just saw that news come out and it got me thinking about it. And you have to keep 3, obviously, because of VRS. And like, if you can make a change after, like later down the track, I think, that's the type of move that I'd be going for.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm with you. I mean, I can't think of anything better. We're assuming they can't get no one from Legacy would leave Legacy to go there. Yeah. Obviously, Lato is, the best name you could get. Or you would like probably him and Insani, but once you take that out of the equation, yeah, exactly. But the problem is, we've had this conversation like for so many times over the years. Whenever we're thinking, who would be? Oh yeah, Insani plus whoever, but it never happens. That's why I don't see why it would happen now, unless Pain comes out and is like willing to pay them what they're asking for, which would be probably the biggest buyout for a Brazilian org ever in Counter-Strike, I feel like.
Yeah, it will be very costly, right? Obviously, it's a pipe dream, and we're probably not going to get that. They'll probably go and picking up some, academy players from somewhere or something, and it's just going to be more of the same. But at least they had to change something, right, after the major campaign. And it's not only just the major campaign. Throughout the year, Yankee, you were bringing it up a bunch of times, like, how is Payne even still in the invite bubble, right? Obviously, top 8 or was it top 4 in Austin, and then they would go to events and they'd win an off game, and that would kind of just keep them, right? They were just, like, bobbing up and down just above water level, right? So now coming to the major and having such a disappointing result, they had to change things. So I understand the fact that we're all immediately getting news about this. Striker was saying like 6 teams, as far as he knows, in the top 15 are going to make roster changes after the major.
Yeah, that sounds like a low number, if anything. Like, that doesn't sound super high to me.
Yeah, well, that's obviously we don't know who's going to win. We don't know what outcomes they're going to be from the playoffs and everything like that. So there'll probably be more. It just that's what he was running with. when we
the
spoke about
second
it.
half of the year was actually gross.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. It
This
was
is
really
ugly.
bad. Yeah.
9th, 12th, 9th, 12th, 9th, 16th, 5, 8, 9th, 12th, 5th, 8th, 9th, 12th. Like that's,
I mean, even the end
Ugh.
of the first half, if it weren't for the major, right? And sure,
True.
there were some tournaments where they had the coach having to stand in, and then for one guy, then for the other guy, and whatnot. But I mean, it wasn't pretty. I guess in all of this, I do have one question that's kind of derailing us. But do you think there's a world in which Vitality makes a roster change?
Well, I guess it's a leading question in a way, right? Because you're asking it because you've thought about it. But if
It
you
just
think
crossed my mind now because you said 6 out of 15 teams, and I'm thinking, all right, there's some teams in there, but you know, and I was going to ask, like, what was Vitality going to do if, let's say, who they play in the quarterfinal?
they play against MongolZ.
Let's say if they lose in the semifinal to Falcons or Spirit, or you know, like they don't even make the final. Seeing how the first half of the year was, it can't happen, can it? But they've been always
I think-
proactive, and they'll also know that's always been proactive with the roster changes, right? Like if there's an
Sure.
opportunity,
Good
they pull
point.
the trigger, right?
I think the only way they'd make a roster change is if someone wanted out.
What level of player
You
are we
know,
talking
Spinks.
about, though, right? Like, because Zaiwu and Rops, like, you're not replacing either of them.
This is what I mean is like, yeah, if Vitality's always been opportunistic and ready to pull the trigger if there's an upgrade to make, but like what upgrade could this team make? Like Mezzi's really good in his positions and the way he plays in this team.
Flames on an uptick at the
Zaiwu
moment.
and Rops, you're not going to fucking touch. Flamesy, I think, has been like really good for this team as well. Like I think everyone's been performing well, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's going to be somewhere that you can look in this team and say upgrade. I guess the only way you'd go would be Apex as an IGL, but that seems insane
Even
to me.
still.
That
Yeah,
seems
but-
fucking insane to me. You change the entire identity and operation of the team.
Look, let me say how unrealistic I think it is in the sense of like, okay, so if you were going to look at names of players that you might replace, it would be in a Mezzi role or a Flames role, right? In terms of in-game leaders, who are you going to get? I don't think
exactly.
you're going to find anybody. And also, I think that Apex does a good job. It's not that I don't think Mezzi and Flames do a good job, but it's like they feel easier mentally to look for an upgrade. But when I think about that, I think about the players on paper that you'd look for an upgrade for. It's like maybe for a Mezzi, a Twists, right? Like that's where I'd be starting. But he just went back to FaZe, and after the fuck ups they made previously with players, there's no way that players are just getting let go for free anymore. And then my next thought is, if you're going to replace a player like Flamesy, we're looking at somebody like Donk, right? And by no means am I comparing the output of Flamesy to somebody like Donk, but how many players in like harder entry roles, even though Donk's been moving away from that, can you name who are going to be a soldier for you like Flames is and go in and make that type of space and have aim, output, and not only that, the type of attitude the kid brings to the team, he's always bubbly. So I don't think there's any way, shape, or form. Like even just thinking about it, that I haven't thought about it up to this point. You could go maybe coach, but then also coach-wise, it's like unless Blade becomes available, what?
Yeah,
What are you
and I
doing?
mean, Apex has been very vocal on how much he enjoys working with XHAZ, and like
Yeah.
we don't get a lot of sense from the outside of what how much impact XHAZ is having outside of Apex. Just saying he's super fucking valuable and super underrated, and I want him here. So I mean, you know, I think that's even a place where it'd be hard. I think an interesting question about Vitality would be, and Chad, I know your opinion on this, unless it's changed, but like the question of, you know, remember after Austin, the question of is this the Vitality era, and everyone kind of popping off and saying it's the Vitality era. I mean, and this is a genuine question, even for the public. Leave an answer in the YouTube comments. Let's get some fucking let's get some algorithm fucking pumping this way. Do you still believe this is the Vitality era after the last 6 months, after the last 5 months, after the second half of the season? Because it feels like nobody's thinking Vitality has a chance to even win this, and I'm shocked at how much of the community seemed to be very vocal about Vitality being the era-defining team of 2025. And now we're going into the second major of the year, and everyone's saying FURIA is going to win. Donk looks amazing, so Spirit has a great chance. Is
everyone saying FURIA is going to win?
I see. That's the team I see
They're the
picked
main
most
favorite.
to win from the public, for sure. I still think Vitality is going to win this major.
There you go. I also think Vitality are going to win this major.
But I don't
crazy.
ever believe that this is a Vitality era. You know,
I'm taking
like,
the field over Vitality.
taking
Yeah,
the
no, I
field
saw
over
you.
Vitality.
You did some interview about that. I read that. Yeah.
I mean, we can get into it later after when we start talking about the
we still have
playoffs
to
and
talk about 100
everything.
Thieves and
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah,
but-
exactly.
Yeah.
But with your point there, Jason, I I guess it's a different definition, right? Because to me, an era isn't necessarily a defined period of time. Because if we did, right, everybody would have the same constraints. And we've had this era conversation a lot on the show before. I think that there are a few things that are factual. One being that is the most dominant season the team has ever had in Counter-Strike, right?
Yeah.
I also think that the era conversation is still open in the sense that if they win this major, you also look at their runs at all the other tournaments. It wasn't as good as the first season, but they're still top 4 at every event that they attended. They did win EPL. They win the major, and then they go into next year, and then they're winning more titles. Then, right, it doesn't just like stop and start.
I'll say this: if Vitality win the major, I think it is a Vitality era. Like
Okay, now he's on board.
I'm in at that point if they win the major, because they've been, regardless of not winning as many events in the second half of the season, they've been the driving force of every conversation in the second half of the year, and they're still placing top 4s. I think that combined with the best season
I think you guys
ever,
are putting too much emphasis on top 4s. Who cares about fucking top 4s in an era? Why are we talking about top 4s in an era? I'm sure there's a team that when FaZe was team of the year made more top 4s than FaZe. Had more top 4s in that year than FaZe did.
Vitality are team of the year.
Yeah, they will be because of the first.
That's not even up for debate, right? What I'm saying is in this downturn, their worst is top 4. Their conversation isn't done yet. Their conversation ends when they change roster or they start losing badly, right? The window is still open for them to get back into pole position.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but you also look at what's happened in the meantime. You know, you had FURIA winning 4 out of the 5 events. So it's not even that they aren't winning, but the different teams are every event. It's someone else right now. We've had another name rise up during that time that's, okay, not doing what Vitality was doing in the first half of the year. No one's going to do that. But they are undisputedly the number 1 team in the world right now.
Agreed. But also, those 4 events, Vitality didn't go to FPG2 or play TWC.
Fair, yeah.
I don't disagree with you that FURIA are the best team in the world right now. Even form at the major, that's not even up for debate. Like, it is... They played the least amount of rounds of, like, obviously they went 3-0, but so did
Spirit.
So did Spirit, but they I think I did the numbers. I did a skin yesterday on HTV Confirmed, and they played 75 rounds over the fucking 4 maps they played. Yeah. Like,
dude,
so
I saw something stupid
dominated.
that they won 80% of their T-side rounds.
They were
79% or something. Like, it's mental how dominant they were.
Opening best of ones, they went 23-1 in the first halves of both their best of ones on day 1 of the stage. Like, that's fucking mental.
Yeah. They're hot. Like, and MongolZ still just look at.
By the way, they were sick. They were sick as fuck. Like, Yikinder was ill the 2 days they played. When Dinko and I casted the FURIA G2 game, I went to take a piss after the first map, and K Serrano was in there just like blowing his nose, fucking sniffling. I was like, "What's up, bro?" And he's like, "I'm fucking dying." Like, they were actually just so sick.
Yikinder was still sick. He wouldn't fist bump people today at media.
That's fair.
And I think seeing how the second half season has gone, how many teams won events. You know, FURIA is the first one to win it back-to-back. Okay, Spirit won Cologne and Bounty back-to-back. FURIA did Rivals and Chengdu back-to-back. But when you see that and then look at Vitality just winning every single event in the first half of the year, that makes it that much more impressive, right, in a way. And I don't think there's any doubt that they're team of the year, and this is Vitality's year, absolutely, even without winning the major. If FURIA wins the major, it's still Vitality's year, I feel like.
Sure.
But then, you know, talking about an era depends about what happens in the future. They might have had, like, the shortest one outside of the Liquid Grand Slam run. They'll still be in the mix. But, yeah, I think at that point, calling it an era becomes more difficult to do.
Should we fucking derail again and go back to the original rail, which would be the 100 Thieves news?
Yeah, I didn't feel like we got that derailed. I just feel like we went on a slight tangent.
Yeah, a little tangent.
You know, this is how conversations work. It's really tough for people. Like, I do read like comments, and people are like, why are they always talking over each other and shit? It's like, because it's a conversation. You know, we're not here just to present points and move on. And I presented all of my documents here today. And
we have no segments. We don't plan anything out. We're just chatting.
Yeah,
just chatting, man.
This is how conversations go.
So
we should go with this. So let's get everybody up to speed. Obviously, we know 100 Thieves has re-entered Counter-Strike. They have Sean Gares, Graham Messioso, Pitt, big fan of the show. And we obviously know Rain is going over there, and he's going to be the in-game leader. In terms of who's going to go to make up the rest of the spots within the team, there was murmurs around Gamer Legion players or Core for a while there. I think that's been snuffed out as far as I understand. The news that came out today was regarding Dev1ce going to 100 Thieves to be the AWPer. So that's the most recent news. And some other goalposts just to quickly put in place before we kind of open the board and have a conversation. There's two things to keep in mind for everybody. Same thing as we were talking about with Pain, is you have a choice. You can do what a Heroic does or what Falcons have done in the last couple. You can try and buy a core, right? 3 players from a team who already have VRS points, or you can do what NIP did and start from scratch and build a whole new roster and then work your way up from no VRS points, which I would say 100 Thieves are actually in the best to do because they have Graham who will be able to navigate that as long as they win, right? Which you saw with loads of Paravision.
Yeah, he helped the Passion guys, I believe, map out what events they went to maximize VRS potential. So he'll be very tuned into that.
Yeah, so there's the schematics. Now we can get into the juice.
So
Jason,
at the moment,
it's your GOAT. He's your GOAT, Jason.
Yeah, he is. He is my GOAT. Well, my CS GOAT. You know what I mean?
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Like my
CSGO.
CSGO.
Yeah, my bad.
I just want to make sure the viewers understand. The GOAT is confined to the CSGO situation. I don't know. He's my GOAT, but I'm at the point where I don't think he can be a top operator. I don't think he can actually deliver the way an opera needs to deliver in CS2. I think his style is so completely different when you look at the other top operas that are playing, how different he plays versus them. I don't think he's aggressive enough. I don't think he's assertive enough. I don't think he's moving around the map fast enough. I don't think he can do combat opping in today's game of Counter-Strike. I think there's too many areas that you need an opera to be able to deliver in, and I haven't seen Dev1ce do it in the 2 to 3 years that we've been in CS2. I haven't seen it with any kind of consistency. There's been some isolated maps, maybe some isolated series, but I'm not in any way convinced or believing that he can turn it around on the AWP. I think this would be a cool move if he went back to the rifle, and I've been pretty vocal about that for the past few years. You know, especially like when Cadian joined, I actually thought that Cadian was going to join as an IGL op and Dev1ce would go back to the rifle because I thought that made the most sense to me. I still think that Dev1ce, if he wants to continue having a career where he can have an impact and go deep in events, he needs to go to the rifle and reinvent his game and get back to like OG Dev1ce in the early days of CSGO where he was an aggressive lurking rifler. I think that's where he's going to find his game back. I don't think he can be an opera. And I hate saying that. I fucking hate saying it. I do. But like I dare anyone to go find some clips where you feel like Dev1ce's opping is up to par with the modern day.
Yeah, but here's what I dare anyone to do. Take a look at the AWPing market right now. Unless your name is Monacy, Moladoy, Zaiwu.
Yeah, but I mean,
Shiro,
take a risk.
Wonderful. And even we'll put Torji on the list right now. Outside of those names, take a risk, Jason.
Yeah, take a fucking risk. Look at FURIA.
Dexter.
So
okay, chill.
So that but hold up.
What do you have against him?
I think this is really important because what Yanko said, I know that Yanko said it in jest, but what Yanko said is what a lot of people we see say in the community, right? That is what a lot of people do say. The people say, why not Dexter? And I don't want to offer up a reason as to why not Dexter. What I want to offer up to everybody is why hasn't he been signed? And why was he not signed before they got the heroic chance, right? I can take a horse to water, but I can't make it drink. I just want people to think about this, right? And you might not find the answer.
Especially considering his last showing in professional Counter-Strike was an MVP op performance of winning a tournament.
So guys, why, if he's so good, would he not be getting signed? That's up to you at home to try and work out. I don't actually know the answer. I have my thoughts on why. I don't know the actual answer.
You riled me up. Now I'm thinking like, wait, does he maybe have like a super high salary in Falcons and on the bench he's just like content with taking that? Or maybe it's like some of the stuff that there's some rumors around him as a player that's like put a bit of a stink on him that no one's like willing to touch him, but that's crazy. Like considering his performance and like when I interacted with the guy, he seemed fine,
nice and smiley.
He's a great attitude, very happy guy to be around, very fun guy to be around.
It's been surprising to me that, you know, for a lot of these teams making changes that his name didn't, you know, that he didn't land somewhere, right? Like I don't know if he would be willing. I don't know if he would be willing to go to a team like Gamer Legion, but there you go. Like I mean, you've been struggling to find an opper. There's a guy battle tested, in a way.
But there has to be a reason, right? Or there has to be reasons as to why.
I mean, the primary one I think is travel is the way I'd go about. Is the first one I'd say.
Yeah, good point.
Is travel being the hardest thing? But I mean, we don't have to go too down the road on Dexter, but I think travel, and I think as an opera, I think like he's obviously, you know, he's one of those guys where I would list all the like ways and like fundamentally, I think his game is off in certain areas, but like the guy delivers frags and impact like you wouldn't believe. Like, so like I can say anything about misposition and making bad decisions in my mind, but he still gets fucking kills and he still wins you tons of rounds.
But this is it, right? So the world that we're living in is the report. Let's say it's correct, and they are getting Dev1ce over there at 100 Thieves. And we said Sean Gez is there, and he's got now Messioso as the right hand man, who's been much more glued into the Counter-Strike team, and they have Rain. Okay, so like you could say buyout is the reason they didn't get him, but I would imagine 100 Thieves is one of the teams that has a decent amount of money to be able to spend on a project. So there's a reason that Dexter isn't in that conversation. Now, let's say we don't know what reason is, but we know that there is a reason. So now we've got Dexter, and now we push him to one side. He's not an option. He's not what they decided. So now throw me more AWPers.
Ooh, more AWPers.
This is it, bro. The AWPer market is fucking duds right now.
It's hard, yeah. Well, it's hard
Jambo.
because you...
Didn't Fnatic pay like...
I just wanted to let the silence sit there.
Didn't they pay like 600 grand for Jambo?
Yeah, they did.
So
you're not paying more than that for him. I mean,
no, you're not.
And if
you're,
Fnatic,
I mean, 100.
Fnatic aren't going to sell what cheaper than what they bought him for.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like the Dev1ce conversation. I have two questions. First question is that interview he gave. Was that an interview from a guy who knew he was switching teams and just wanted to sort of?
Yes.
You know,
this Astralis, for everything that I understood throughout their major run, when talking to people behind the scenes, the sentiment of the team before they even started playing was it's a dead team.
Yeah. Right? So my second question would be, to which extent does that fact justify his performance on the server?
Interesting.
That's
interesting framing.
Is it like extenuating circumstances? To what extent? You know, for Dev1ce? Because I agree with Jason. He's looked whatever. Like I wouldn't pick him up as sort of they picked him up as a sole player, right? Like not as part of the core, and they're trying to get the Astralis core for the VRS and whatnot. It's just like, we want you as a player.
Yeah. So
in my mind, that doesn't give him any kind of a pass, to be honest with you.
But let's go the other angle. So you've got all the angles that you listed that are detracting from Dev1ce, right? Of him not being on top of the game at the moment in terms of what you expect from the other elite AWPers, like I listed, the m0NESYs, the MongolZs, the ZywOos, the Shiros, etc. Right? So he can't deliver to that level. What can he deliver?
Well, he's got a lot of experience. Okay. Experience is obviously a big one, and obviously I would imagine they start getting younger from here, and the other three players they're going to sign to the team. So I think experience and pedigree, and I think a good tactical knowledge and game understanding is all there. You know, he's someone who can help out strategically.
Obviously, is he going to hit his nades?
Probably.
Yeah, I would expect Dev1ce to
hit his nades. Dev1ce to hit his nades. Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's got a good relationship with Glaive as the coach.
That's another good link. I want to say he has a championship mentality, but it's been an awfully long time since then, and he's also the guy who gets sick. So it's like, and that's not me trying to, poo-poo someone's health. If it's serious, it's serious. But we've been at this point before, right? If your team is getting left high and dry because you're unwell, I don't like the way that would make the rest of the team feel. That would brew contempt, IMHO. So that's a concern that I have. That's the concern.
I feel like that brewing contempt was bubbling over with HooXi over the course of the past month or two. Like that wasn't. It was past brewing. It was like full blown boiling. I think with HooXi at one point.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm just looking at the fact. I trust this news. I believe this news.
Yes.
I heard.
I do too.
I heard a little when we were in Budapest. I heard like a little rumor out of the blue that there was someone competing at the major at that point during stage 3. Was it stage 3? Maybe it was stage. What did Astralis call it? Stage 2?
Stage 2.
Yeah, it was during stage 2 that 100 Thieves had signed someone currently in the competition, and I'd been trying to rack my brain of who it could have been. And I'll be honest, Dev1ce's name never even came up as a potential option in my head.
Stair's the one, right?
I mean,
I would have thought. I didn't even know it was from Astralis. So I was thinking like a Stair. I was thinking like a Kaspersky after his performance with NIP. I was thinking along those lines. I wasn't thinking Dev1ce as an op going over there.
I mean, I would have also thought. I said it on, I think it was Feed the Trolls, that 100 Thieves maybe could go for the Astralis core, right? Like you get Stair, you get Dev1ce, and then, well, I'm not really sure who you get as a third. Someone you would probably want to replace.
No, I would say
either Magus can then replace him like a couple of months in, or Yabby. But for them to get just Dev1ce as a player, I mean, yeah, obviously there's a lot of history there, and at his peak, he was, absolutely incredible. I don't think he can reach. I don't think we'll ever put Dev1ce in a conversation with Zaivu, Molodoi, Monesi, Shiro. I don't think Dev1ce will ever be a top 5 opper.
And when Yanko includes Shiro in that list, he means some fucking business.
Yeah, but I think whether he can be right outside that list and be in the top 10 and be serviceable for a team, I want to believe that. Recent performance gives me nothing to really believe that, but let's say we give him the benefit of the doubt because it is fucking Dev1ce and it's been a shit show over there in Astralis for a good while. I mean, he picked up the IGL mantle for a few months there, for Christ's sake. So things have been really grim and there's been no direction really, in a way it feels like. So, he's reunited with Glaive. Glaive's the coach of 100 Thieves now, so he has that going for him. And if they get a good enough team and they can mesh together well, I mean, do you think Dev1ce can have the same level of impact and output as Sampayas has for G2?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do too. I think he can have that. I think actually now at the moment he's playing below what Sampayas has been bringing to the table the last couple of events.
Good major apparently up until he had surgery.
Yeah, that's the sort of player I'm looking to compare him with at this stage in his career, right? Like he never was the type of a player that Monesi is or Molodoi is, like battle-opping flicks and crazy stuff. It was Fallen in Dev1ce's prime who was doing that.
Yeah.
Dev1ce was, more akin to what we see from Shiro, but a lot more aggressive than what Shiro is in terms of positioning, but he was that guy before Shiro. He was like holding the angles, very difficult to get him off. You need to expend a lot of utility, and he just was very good at punishing you when you weren't doing that. So I think a little bit is more about... Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
I think with Dev1ce, like the one thing that always got me with him in CSGO was like I felt like he was always at the right place at the right time. Like he understood the flow of the CSGO meta when he was competing so well that like he knew the timing of when to be where. I think in CS2, I don't think he's gotten that same feel for the timing with the way that some of the moves that teams are making are a little bit more individual based.
Well, it's hard for AWPers in CS2. Yeah. Yeah, but I think with what Yanko's saying, I agree that he can have a similar output as Sampayas. Does he have to work hard to get there? Yes. But does he bring at least a winner's mentality of once upon a time? Yes. Do I think he's going to hit his nades? Yes. That seems, when I say that, I'm sure people listen and they scoff. Mate, I want people to go and look at demos of the amount of players who miss nades, right?
Shout out to Chopper.
People need to understand that if you miss a nade in a strategy, especially one that's like setting up your teammate with a flash or something along those lines, that your teammate will die because of that. And then your teammate who could have not died because of that is going to be pissed off at you because you can't hit a pedestrian piece of utility. That's a big deal.
That's what tilts teammates so quickly.
Yes.
Like that's especially like your entry fraggers who need to have really strong mentality. If you fucking blow a flashbang or a Molotov that needs to flush somebody into the open to get exposed for a flashbang and you miss it,
they can't trust you anymore.
That will send them all. Yeah, they can't trust you. So their faith and their confidence goes down, and then they're not as assertive when they make their play. And then they just get frustrated because they're like, this guy's making me look like a fucking moron,
Yeah. But yeah. I think that this conversation, like this pickup, there's a statement you made earlier, Jason, that you said the rest of the players on this team have to be young, because you're right, because these guys are the backbone and they're the veterans of the roster. These are the
Rain is 31, Dev1ce is 30.
So the rest of them have to be young at this point, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. But there's another problem that has to be solved for 100 Thieves, and let's tackle this question. Do you think 100 Thieves? Because Yanko, you just mentioned the core of Astralis. From what I understand, that's not the case. From what I understand. That they are not like that. Apparently, it's so dysfunctional over there that ain't happening. The Gamer Legion thing, as far as I understand, off the table as well. So outside of that, when you start looking at cores are very limited. So I think that they are going to do, unless something drastically changes throughout the major.
Sing it, Chad.
I think they're going to try and piece together a Megazord that's going to have to work hard for the first 6 months. They won't be in Cologne unless something insane happens, and that we will see them play the second major, the PGL Singapore Major. I think that's what's going to happen.
I love that. I'm in. Now I'm in. Now I can be a fan of 100 Thieves. Go that route. Come to the dark side, Graham. Piece it together. Go on the grind, baby.
I don't think they have no choice.
I think they I mean, I don't know what the situation is with... I would have gotten the... If you're getting Dev1ce, I would get Stair. I think Stair is a good player. I think he has a spot on that team. And then, as I said, I might even get Magisk over Yabi just to replace him. Because, clearly things weren't going well in that Astralis team. And maybe... I don't know what the vibes are over there and who likes playing with who and who doesn't, and whatnot. I think one guy you probably can't question is Stair because he also hasn't achieved really much in his career. So he's like still hungry, still motivated, did everything for the team that he was asked for. You already got Dev1ce, and then you just need one more for a couple of months, right? And then you can replace him too if you don't like him. I know, people will say, what's wrong with Yabi? I don't know. Like he's made some boneheaded plays during this Astralis time, like seemed a little checked out at times. Perhaps you don't want that, right? And Magisk, it sucks for him because it's been changing teams, and just being a placeholder in teams for a little while now. But I think that's probably their best bet. And then on top of that, Astralis is in dysfunctional state at the moment as an org. These players command a higher salary. I think they could benefit from offloading that, right? And figuring out what their next move is, because obviously, we're hearing it's a dead team. Like what you have right now isn't working whatsoever. Whether Stone comes back or not, I don't think that changes anything.
Huxi, Yabi, Stair, Nikodos, Zyphon.
Yeah, I like Zyphon. I was surprised when he went to Sashi out of all teams. I thought he could definitely go to a better team. But that's an option for them. So I don't know if they don't go for that core. I was joking they should get the FaZe core, right? And just bring Grain back with the guys from the team without, to do the Uno reverse in a way. Don't think that's going to happen. But when you go outside of that, it's all big name orgs as well who are not going to be giving you the players. And Heroic, again, the good old, you need a VRS core.
Here we got one. Call. This bad boy fits plenty of VRS.
And you would have to get like Nilo, Youngster, and Xfloud, really. You don't want... Well, Crizin isn't a part of that core. Alcaran you don't need. And Nilo has potential. Xfloud, maybe. But it just doesn't feel like it doesn't... When you say all the names and put them together, it doesn't make much sense.
Piecemeal it, baby. Go get Excello from Paravision.
Which individuals do they get? Because also...
I think they get JL.
I think he's keen to come back.
JL said on OwnerPixel stream the other day, this was like 3 or 4 days ago, he said he'd be back on a team within 10 days.
All right. Well,
so he obviously has something.
So he went to streaming and content creation and didn't think the grass wasn't actually all that greener, and now he's coming back.
Maybe
let's rock and roll.
Just wanted a break.
Maybe misses the competition. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe just wanted a break. Who knows? But like,
all right,
it's not a judgment.
Well, I was going to say, something that, for example, one of the reasons why Nico didn't end up signing with Falcons the first time around was because one of the main reasons was there was no guarantees they would be at the big events.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to miss out on playing at the big events, for a season, for them to build shit up and all of that. So, and I think players take that into account because it's like, first of all, you have to grind. And sure, maybe there has to be some online play, go to these small-ass lands, like...
in that sense, the Dev1ce pickup might actually, if they do end up having to like piecemeal this and go on a grind and not get the VRS cores for the invites, that might actually be the perfect situation that Dev1ce needs to like just be chilling at home for a little bit and hitting a grind really fucking hard.
But the opposite of that is Rain fucking hated the pandemic times of having to play online Counter-Strike, so I can't imagine him having to go back to that.
No, but I think I would look at it the same way for Rain as someone who's stepping into the IGL role. Here's a chance for you to learn how to IGL in lower scrutiny situations, not necessarily lower pressure, but in a world where you're not having 400,000 viewers watch you try and become an IGL on the fly. Now you're going to be at smaller events, less viewership, less criticism. You're going to make some mistakes. You can probably overcome some of those mistakes against those teams, and let's see what happens.
These are three also risky pickups in a way for 100 Thieves for their way back into Counter-Strike, right? Because, Rain as an IGL, completely unproven, untested, wasn't even a secondary caller in his previous teams, right? Glaive, obviously the IGL, the captain of that Astralis lineup. How will he fare as a coach? I think good in the long term, right? But that initial pairing of coach IGL, where they're both new to the role, as I tweeted out, I think that those go either really well or really poorly. I don't think there's really a middle ground there. And then now you're also bringing Dev1ce, who again, like, you're buying his stock low. I mean, same thing like with Yekinda, right? Like everyone was like, what are they doing? They're bringing like this guy to translate for MongolZ. Like that was the meme at the time. But he rediscovered his old form and actually is, a crucial piece of the FURIA lineup. I know that's what you're hoping for if you're 100 Thieves, but you're hoping for, at this point, you're hoping for a lot of different things to go right for you.
Do you think that these 3 pickups of Glaive, Dev1ce, and Rain are enough to attract talent to want to come play with these guys?
Depends on what type of talent we're talking about, right?
It's obviously not going to be your top tier talent, right? Like those guys aren't going to leave entrenched teams.
You need a punchy rifler, right? You need someone who's a playmaker, someone who's going to be able to bring you a lot of output. And I don't even know where you go for that.
I think they're attractive from a standpoint of they're not dickheads. They're like good teammates. Like they're good guys to be on a team with.
Legendary
right? Like
players.
Not any dramas there, right? They're going to be. Yeah, exactly. Like all that stuff. I don't think perhaps their stock as individual players isn't as high as it used to be. And, outside of getting someone who's Danish and would just love to be on a team with Dev1ce, which clearly they don't want to do because they would have gotten the Astralis core, I don't think that plays a huge part in it.
Yeah, I don't know where they go to get the firepower output. Like, I don't know what type of player that you're looking at for that.
Someone in the comments will say Cypher.
Yeah, probably. Someone probably will. I think if you're 100 Thieves, you want your base. So as long as you have because with the conversation I'm going down now is I'm under the impression they're not getting a call. That's how I'm operating, right?
All right. So who would you get? Who would you pluck from the teams?
I think you have to wait and see the fallout of the playoffs, right? Because what did I say before? 6 teams in the top 15 or something going to make changes. And we know how quick the landslide can start from off-season into roster mania. So let's say like a big team makes a change. What level of cascading pieces could that have? Let's say,
Do you still believe in Nerds? Would you get Nerds if you could to that team?
I don't think I would need Nerds and JL. I need someone who's a bit of a harder entry.
Okay.
But like if I could have Nerds or JL, I'd have one of the two, I think.
Okay, one of the two.
I think Nerds needs a change of environment,
change of scenery.
Yeah, so I don't know like where you'd go just directly looking at it right now. Because Liquid are fucked, but I don't even know how Liquid can get back into the conversation. Nobody from FaZe feels like they're going to be touchable. They're going to stick with that for a while. Maybe,
but you don't think Rain might be that guy? Now that he's an IGL, that's what he will make his role.
I imagine it'd be a big space
albeit
taker,
similar to Carrigan in FaZe.
Yeah, okay, and then someone trades off the top of him. Yeah, then maybe it could work. But then think about
PR, just PR.
Yeah, I like PR, I do. But if Game Legion aren't willing to budge on a core,
not the core, but they might be willing to.
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe. I think wait for the fallout, like.
You want someone from like the big names. You think someone like that.
See if you can capitalize. Otherwise, then maybe you're hoping to clamp down on somebody like. I know Flamish just started his loan period at OG, but how strong is that? How much money do you have to want to see if you can get him out of that situation? Somebody like Kaspersky from NIP, who's on loan from ENTS, right? So there's another name that you could use as like a really aggressive rifler who is the talent of the next generation. So those two names kind of fit into that. So there's something there. Like those names are somewhat interesting at the moment, so they could be cool in the conversation.
I trust Graham to cook up something cool. I think the lineup is at the very least going to be interesting.
It's just
I don't know who else is going to go for. Yeah, I mean it's not an easy job by any stretch of the imagination. You know, we like your question of like which opera do you go get? We kind of get to sit here and laugh and crack some jokes, but that's probably a question that keeps Graham up at night for hours. You know?
I feel like you take a risk on an unknown AWPA and you're going to get shit. If you get Dev1ce, who's a known quantity but stock's on the way down, you're going to get shit. It's like you don't want Wrinkle, you don't want Head Trick. Like they're just fine. Like they're not blowing anyone's socks off, right? So.
Yeah, they should look at Ultimate.
There you go. He's another AWPA that's just fine. Like, where are you meant to go with all this?
That's Ultimate's problem. Everyone's seen him play.
Jesus. All right. Shall we start talking about
the meat and the potatoes?
Yeah. Should we get into the major conversation?
Yeah, let's get into the major conversation.
Yeah, how's the humiliation ritual seemed from home?
I think it's stupid.
Okay. You haven't been liking any of the content, any of the interviews, seeing the emotions? You haven't liked any of
that? No, I think here's the thing. Players are professionals and doing loser interviews is part of the job, right?
Okay.
And I think loser interviews should exist and exit interviews should exist. But putting the whole team out there on display just to stand there and be filmed, I think it's just cruel on some level, right? And it's the most devastating loss of the year for a lot of these teams, for a lot of these players. If you were doing something, if you were like asking them questions or, you know, whatever, I could understand it maybe. Although I think it's stupid when, you know, talk to every single player on a team for these interviews. Like that's ridiculous. It should just be one guy out there.
He stopped doing that after the last
like
few. It's just been one player. Yeah. He stopped doing the whole down the line.
But it's the whole thing is stupid with them signing their thing.
Yeah, that like game show, like the game show element of it is kind of like
it's ridiculous. Like it's a stupid ass idea and shouldn't be a thing. You should just take one guy from the team later, interview him, see what he has to say. You can get B-roll on the players, you know, taking their gear out and all this stuff, like film them out or wherever they are at the moment after the loss. Like that's where you see their reactions too. You know, you can see that they're devastated. You know, some guy's going to sit in his chair for 15 extra seconds and not move. You know, someone might shed a tear. Like two guys might be going back and forth about something.
When Bacardi lost, right? He was gutted. Yeah.
Like you will get those moments. You will see their state of mind from that. They don't need to be lined up next to each other, right? Just standing there, having nothing to do while you're sort of filming them, while they're internally, you know, probably going through some, you know, going through some stuff, going through rounds and everything. Like that's, for me, is like what bothers me about it. Like the loser interviews are fine, man. Like as I said, it's part of a job. You're a professional. You get paid. That comes with the territory, but that doesn't mean you should be put out on display just so someone can have the satisfaction from back home, you know, seeing a team that he dislikes,
like
sort
an
of
animal
lose,
in a
or
zoo.
a player's. It's like in a zoo. Like that's ridiculous to me.
All right. Well, we covered the humiliation ritual. We've spoken about it a lot.
We have.
But
I did tune into that one a bit.
Obviously, we got the bracket, which is juiced. I think there's great storylines. I went on like a fucking 4-minute spiel yesterday about all the different storylines and everything. I think that this playoff is, someone went and did the maths in terms of using HLTV rankings, and they said that obviously because it didn't exist back in the early days, they couldn't do it for all majors, but they took the average ranking and da-da-da. People can go check out on Reddit. But in terms of the way he worked it out, this is the most stacked major playoffs of all time. I think the stories in this major playoff are also awesome. I think
Which is your favorite story to come to conclusion? Before getting into like the actual Counter-Strike and any X's and O's and any map kind of shit, just in terms of the stories of the playoff teams, like which one do you think is the biggest payoff for a win? Spirits, obviously, you know, the donk angle,
I like the return of the king.
What's the return of the king?
Vitality.
Fallen? Okay. That was going to be
9 years since his last major. You know, obviously he had a tough period in the middle there. There's been the conversation about retiring, and now he's bringing
6 years since his go on.
Yeah, it was 8 years since he was last world number one. 9 years.
I was going to say 6 years
major.
since any of his teams have been relevant in the conversation of the major, essentially.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's like him returning, but then the pieces he's returning or he's getting there with, right, is Yuri and Quesarado, the best two Brazilian pieces since the heyday of Luminosity/SK, right? That's without a doubt. Quesarado for sure, Yuri, especially with the way he's playing now. Molodoi, this freak of nature that's just come out of nowhere. Fallen, as you've spoken about this a couple of times, Jason, but the fact that Fallen now goes to rifle and gives the AWPing role over to this kid who's clearly very talented and can help him and guide him, and how awesome he is as a player and how flashy he's straight in the conversation with an elite level AWPer and doing it consistently, not like a flash in the pan like Ultimate on first tournament. This is tournament after tournament. And then Yakinda, who, had a high peak in the early days in the VP kind of jersey, but then since then it's kind of just been simmering, and now him getting an opportunity again, because I think Yakinda's a good bloke. So I like the FURIA story. It's probably the one that for me tugs on the heartstrings the most. Obviously, the other one that's a big one is the Nico one, right? Yeah, those two are probably the biggest in terms of either returns.
And they're on the
top
opposite side of the bracket.
Yeah.
So could be a potential grand final.
And they were the last final before the major, right? Yeah. So there's a bit of stuff there. But yeah, there's all these storylines. There's obviously all the stuff that happened throughout, Yanko, and we've been doing episodes and you've been on the sideline. So is there anything that's happened throughout that, you've wanted to get something off your chest about, that you've seen, that you've been like, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that? Well, not really, because if not, we just focus on the playoffs.
I don't think not particularly. I mean, it's just the standard stuff. I was really disappointed with Legacy, even though I said that it shouldn't be underestimated that they could bottle it, right, with the best of ones and whatnot, and the pressure. They're a young team. They only just came into the spotlight, but still, come on. People were talking about them in the playoffs. I thought they were for sure going to get out of stage one, but that was disappointing. But I don't know. I was surprised how many people have written off FaZe because of their stage one performance. I mean, I could understand it, but I don't know how people haven't learned that, okay, they play into the tournament, but still, that was it for them. Like, they avoided the cliff, right? Like, they've avoided the worst case scenario, and they were going to feel less pressure after that in stages 2 and 3.
Narrowly avoided it. 0.4 seconds.
There's
I
more
know.
factors too, right? Like, there's Brokey having, he's obviously started to play good at the very tail end of things, but having some real suboptimal performances. Like, Jacob is a major rookie. He started really slow too, and then now his output, he was the highest rated player for them in stage 3, which before the conversation was really just around Frozen and Twist because they have guaranteed output. Carrigan's had a pretty overall poor individual year, and now it's just the FaZe bullshit back on track, right?
Yeah,
so it's like it's all come together.
And I picked them to make the playoffs as well, I think.
Yeah, they got stage 3.
Not double guessing myself, but I thought that was going to happen with some help in terms of matchups, but they also did beat Vitality in the best of one, so that's where you benefit off that. Another thing that was really kind of shocking was how bad Aurora was, man. That's just you were sort of, it was hopium for me too that they were going to somehow be a different team because they won in Bucharest and they had a month off to prep and all this stuff. But apparently it's just kind of done. I think they have to be making a roster change.
But who?
I think someone else has to IGL. And I don't know if they have a player on the team that could do it, like Voxic or I don't know, someone else, and then they could bring, either xFloud or...
You're not getting xFloud. Heroic would literally perform Harry Carry if they gave away xFloud. They would lose their core. It'd be over again. They'd have to build again. Surely they can't keep doing it every year.
Yeah, I don't know, but something does have to change. I don't think international is an option for them at the moment, but you feel it's that. And I know Santara is at times so-and-so, right? But I don't think you're at a point where that's the issue and that's the change that you can make, that you sort of replace him.
If you're going to make a change as Aurora and you can't go international, you're going to have to put your faith in some younger players. You're going to have to put some faith in building up an inexperienced player from the region to join that team. And I don't know if you can do that without Major. You know what I mean? Well, I don't know if you, has anyone, I don't know if I've never gotten the sense that Zantara is going to be a guy who's going to be particularly talented at bringing up and training new talent. I haven't got that feeling out of Voxic, although he's certainly matured over the years. So maybe I'm off on that one. I mean, Kadia just went through it. He could be a help, but he's not going to be able to kind of lead the charge to be the one to do it. You know what I mean? I don't see anyone in that. I don't see that team as one that can develop young talent.
Yeah,
but I was just going to say, I think if they could get xFloud, then they would probably just get xFloud. And this seems crazy to say, but surely Zantara's being replaced for xFloud must be in the conversation, because of him missing in big games. right? Like he ghosted a couple of those big games. I think
And he's one of the more emotional guys as well. Like, how much does that affect the rest of the team?
I think he's the best Turkish player ever, but and if it's not that angle, then I agree it has to be like a leadership change, and then the leadership change you have to hope reinvigorates the rest of them, right? Because I think I really like Joda and Wakadia. So where do you go from there? Do you bring back in like Calix or Imor? Like, and just go, hey, Imor, you want an in-game? Like, what are we talking about, right? Like, it just seems kind of crazy. So I just think they're going to be stuck treading water until xCloud becomes a possibility, or as you guys are mentioning, talent, because there is the like Eternal Fire roster. There's a lot of Turkish players who are playing Pug, so there's got to be some talented individuals out there. There's like this J Rezi kid or whatever. I remember seeing a couple games of and stuff. So there's definitely names floating about, but it means it's probably a one step forward. Wait, how's the saying go?
Forward, 2 steps back.
Yes, that's the saying. It's probably one of those scenarios, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a while to see if they're able to find some form of a recovery, because both majors this year have been extremely disappointing for them.
Yeah, I didn't even watch that much the first 2 stages, man. Who cares? The only major started in stage 3.
If you want to, if you want to talk about embarrassments, we gotta put my boys Liquid up there. We got to put that stage 3 run out of Liquid was.
But they had such a great boot camp, Jason.
They did have a great boot camp. There is that. They'll always have that boot camp.
I don't want to hold this over you, Jason, but I heard this, and I just want to see if I remember where I heard it. Did you say at some point throughout the year, especially after this Twist Elise change, that you thought that Liquid would have a better major than FaZe? Okay, yeah, I'm not. This isn't to lord it over you or anything. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
Look, I don't. I mean, to be fair, I was 0.4 seconds away from being correct. Those motherfuckers. Yeah, I did. I thought it would be a lot harder, and obviously I was dead wrong. But it's Liquid's such a hard team to like look at, because I don't understand how you can look at the 5 players on that team and ever believe they're going to go 0-3 in this stage, losing to the MongolZ with a stand-in and Passion UA. Like, those are insane teams to lose to when you are Liquid and you have, the play, Elige, Nertz, Shuhei, you have these strong players on the squad, and you're given time finally. And yeah, it felt like such a, I don't know what their issue could have been, but like the stage 3 run from them was just like gross. It was like, where was even the Liquid we saw at the end of stage 2 to actually come back and qualify? Showed some real talent and some real good game planning and some real good cohesion, and to just see it disappear. Like, I know the stage 3 teams are stronger and going to be more difficult to overcome, but it wasn't even for me like the level of opposition that changes in stage 3. It was the level that Liquid brought into the server in stage 3 was just, it just bottomed out. Like, I couldn't believe it.
I think, like, for Flashy's sake, it sucks the most in that team. Obviously, his first like head coaching gig, and it's in his home country, and they didn't even go out in front of the crowd, right? They got eliminated in the B stream section, I'm pretty sure, right? So that's just like that's really tough. I want to bring a couple of things into the conversation here, because obviously it's a subpar performance if you look at it from Liquid as an organization's perspective. But Elige has only been back on this team for 2 months. I think the roles make more sense with Elige there than Twist's, because I think Elige is just your kind of more hard entry guy, and then it actually opens up Nertz a little bit more. He doesn't have to be that. I think this isn't to say that Twist isn't aggressive. I just don't think he's as aggressive as somebody like Elige, who we've seen in the past, like when he was in Complexity and whatever, or even in FaZe, was just like that, real mechanical hard entry guy. But this is where the questions come in. So with where Liquid is now, do you think it's a time factor? If you don't think it's a time factor, do you think they change players? And if they change players, who are they changing? You know more about Liquid than most, Jason, so I feel like you must have some type of inkling.
No, this is an area where I'm a little bit dark. I didn't reach out to any of them after that loss. I haven't reached out for any conversation to anyone that I can talk to over there. Just
because a short time frame. It also,
I mean, it's hard, right? I mean, obviously we can do this multiple ways, right? Like, if you want to go the ultimate route, we have the same conversation that we just had with Dev1ce, which is like, yeah, ultimate's not any kind of a world beater, but where are you going to go for a clear upgrade over that and worth, going through the effort of making a buyout happen or a trade happen, blah, blah, blah. They just had Shuhei come in on a loan and then signed him to a long-term deal saying he's our IGL of the future. You've brought Flashy in as a brand new coach, so you're probably not going to trust that, because I know Liquid's very happy happy with what he's brought to the table in that role, even though obviously the results didn't show it here at the major. But in terms of everything I've heard behind the scenes between players and staff, everyone's happy with what Flashy's bringing in. Like I don't know where you look for that upgrade. Nerds, if he wants to get the fuck out at this point, maybe there's an opening that you can go find somebody. But again, I don't know if you're going to get anybody with better potential than Nerds. Like I don't know what happened to his drop off. That has to be like a team cohesion, like internal issues, like just neutering what he's able to bring to the table. I thought NaV has recovered nicely from the Austin Major.
Sure.
Yeah, and I mean I think you're still going to keep him around because he's definitely not an issue when he's playing well. And then you just brought Alish back on trade, and part of the reason why you brought him back is because it was such a convenient opportunity considering the contracts and financial situations and not wanting to splash a lot of cash. So I don't really know if they have a lot of flexibility at the moment to make any significant changes. But I mean, the people you'd point at as like the easy ones to kind of say, okay, well, they played really poorly. T-sides weren't anything special. T-sides in stage 3 looked rough. Shuai as an IGL, all that potential we talked about, it's apparently not there. Let's look in that regard. No clear IGLs out there to upgrade.
But this is where the angle is. Like I think the disappointment because of the level of organization. It's like Yanko would say with FaZe, right? This is the type of team that the level of expectation is to win. The same thing is kind of a Liquid, right? There's a bunch of teams that we could throw in that category where there's a level of expectation to not only be competitive, but to be making playoff runs, or if missing out on playoffs, it's just, you better put up a damn good fight if you're going to miss out. You better be losing a vitality in a 2-2 game if you're not making the playoffs type
You
thing.
Better be having a series like G2 had in elimination. Like better,
Well, forget about the 2 they played before that, but the thing with all of this is, though, if you look at Liquid's year, so the year starts off of Shanghai where they made top 8, right? Then they come into the new year and Yakinda's the one who's like being put in question and not delivering. So they start the year with bringing Nerds in for Yakinda. Then before Melbourne, they replace JKS with Shui to remove Twist's role of having to be the in-game leader. Then Shui takes it over. So then JKS gets benched back in what was it, April or May or something along those lines. Yeah. So now within the span of 4 months, they've already changed 2 players. 4 or 5 months, whatever it is. Then they go into the player break, but we've heard behind the scenes that Twist wasn't too happy there, and right, that's not really news to anybody. Then you come out into the second half of the year, you get underway with the team the way it was. Shui's really just started as an in-game leader, only had a couple of events at this point. You then go bring in, there's the coach change as well. So Flashy comes in. Then Twist Alish swap happens like 2.5 months ago, whatever the fuck it is. And now you play the major and you make it to stage 3, but you go 0-3. It's like, realistically, if I frame it like that, it's like, okay, fine. And with all the other options that aren't available and that don't make sense, unless somebody wants to leave, you probably stick with this roster right now and give it a next season and see what you build into with the next 6 months. If I'm
GMing them, I'm not looking for changes. If something falls in my lap, I can consider it and look at it objectively. But I'm not going out and hunting down a change unless there's a player that is just actually straight up a problem child in that team at the moment, which doesn't seem to be the case from everything I know.
And for me, this should be like Flashy's team now. So whatever he decides in terms of, all right, which guy doesn't fit my vision. Like that's who either he will be able to adjust or will have to make a change, and he'll have to be replaced. And there's only a couple of guys who were there is guys who were there before he came in, and I imagine not everyone's going to be against it. But yeah, and for that he probably needs some more time, unless someone outright is refusing to sort of follow the playbook or make the necessary adjustments. But yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think this lineup also has an issue that a lot of Liquid lineups have had over the years, where I feel like there's not like a strong enough personality to really get this team like fired up and focused with an identity on the game. You know what I mean? Like there's no I never get the sense that Liquid goes in. When I'm watching them in stage 3, like losing these games, I'm feeling like there's no one on that team who has like motivated everyone on this team to fight till the fucking last second.
Sure.
I feel like there's too much like capitulation of just like kind of going through the motions. Fuck, it's an off day. It's just going to be rough. Like there's no one in that team that gets everyone fired up. Everyone's like a more passive personality.
I guess that's not going to change though, is it? Right? That's just where we are.
Well, that's where you'd hope. That's where I think it's going to be Shuai's job as the leader. Like he's got to be the one that does it.
And that's such a different environment for him comparing to his time in MOUZ, where they were just such a tight knit group for such a long time.
Let's get into the meat and potatoes, shall we? Let's get into the juice.
Yeah.
Let's get into the top 8. Yanko, I imagine you've got a lot to say about the Falcons.
Yeah, let's hit the Falcons G2 game.
Those are the ones that I actually, did try to follow as closely as I could.
I saw you in the Watch Party channel.
Yeah, I think I told you to go fuck yourself or something. Probably, you were just egging me on, you asshole, as you would. But I think the most important thing, and Nico mentioned it in the interview with HLTV, is they just have a different mentality compared to what type of a team they were in Austin. Regardless of the roster change, a different roster, they're just a stronger team mentally now, where that loss to Bait, even though it's on Ancient and all of that, and they lost to them also in Austin, that wasn't going to, cause them to spiral out of control completely. And I think in the end, it's their mentality that why they were able to make the playoffs, right? Because it was so clear and obvious that the switch up from Ancient to Inferno from Falcons, right? Like, it's just determination that they weren't going to lose. Guys stepping up, obviously. And this has been a talking point every time you talk about Falcons and their results at tournaments is like, yeah, MongoZ also played like the MongoZ we know on Inferno and Dust. On Dust, he was absolutely incredible, main reason why they won the series, it feels like. But when he's playing like that, a lot of other questions people raise are not being raised anymore because he just has that ability to win your rounds on his own. And that's why you paid him. That's why you brought him in. That's why you build a team like that, is so you have players who can get you out of a tough spot, or when the game is at 9-9, 10-10, like they're going to make a play that's going to win you that key round, that's going to enable you to close out the game. So, yeah, I think for Falcons, all in all, they got the job done, which I think is the most important thing. Nico also talked, I think this was in the interview on Serbian with the Real guys, he mentioned, I think us making it into the playoffs is going to alleviate a lot of the pressure, and we're going to play better in playoffs than we did.
Well, they're a playoffs team.
Yeah, in the group or in stage 3, really, which kind of computes for me. Outside of that, I mean, obviously they were expected to blow through, who was it, Imperial and Passion?
Yeah, they beat Passion 13-5 and they beat Imperial 13-1. They lost to MOUZ and then they beat G2.
Yeah, and the MOUZ game, MOUZ was the better team on the day. I did have some issues with the veto, right, because of how the head-to-head went on Ancient and just how good they were. I always have this thing, right, like when the team is so good on a map, it's also the comfort level of the players. And I can understand, you think they're going to like really prep heavy for you, but you beat them 4 times in a row. You don't think they did heavy prep for the 4th game after you beat them 3 times?
Do you think the loss to Bait on Ancient had anything to do with that? Do you think it like shook some confidence?
That one didn't. The G2 one might do now.
I think probably. I think it was a couple of different things. I think it was that loss, and I think it was probably things going really well for them in practice in, let's say, Mirage, right?
Sure.
And them feeling all right, it makes sense from what they know that we obviously don't know. But for me, I just dislike it when I see it that way. Who knows? Maybe we would have gotten Mirage as the decider. Would have MOUZ chosen Mirage or Nuke? You can't be 100% sure about that. Though, that if you don't pick it first phase, you're not seeing it as the decider. So whatever, they lost 6 pistols. I think it was a couple of really bad rounds in the anti-force by rounds on Nuke that cost them that series, But we also have to give props to MOUZ. They stepped up in that game. Individuals across the board had their moments. Torji and all of that. So yeah, it wasn't an easy road for Falcons, but I think that makes it a bit more sweet for them, and they get rewarded in a way by going up against Spirit, who they have, Nico and MongoZ never lost to Donk.
Yeah. I think it adds a layer to the story there, right? There's a few things there that you mentioned that when I was watching that game against G2, my scenario is, okay, so you right now, you sit there and you can put yourself in the position of Falcons. Oh, they failed at Austin, right? They didn't make it to the playoffs there. They're in this boat this time around. They're bringing Kiyosuke, so they have another kid who has a lot of firepower, but sure, he's a major rookie. He looked a little bit shaky in some of the more pressure moments, but it's not really all on him. He did make a couple of silly moves, and that's going to happen with a player that isn't experienced and going to be feeling the nerves. But you lose the first map, your map choice, a map that was like 13-0 coming into the major. You were super strong, right? That's the mental. You lose it to Bay in a best of one. Well, you've already been there. That was in Austin. It's fine. You can recover from that. Then you lose the MOUZ game. You're like, fuck, we're in a 2-2 game. And then it's against G2. I was like, for fuck's sake, it's probably the hardest opponent we could have drawn out of all of them. Two things could have happened. They could have ended up in the mud in the same way. They could be the laughing stock of Counter-Strike again. Everyone could be pointing fingers. Ha, Nico, you're never going to win a major. MongolZ, you've tied yourself to a choker. Or in that moment, you can decide, no, we ain't going down like this. We're a playoff caliber team. Let's play like a playoff caliber team. And what I noticed was Nico in map number 2, the way that he was talking to the team, the way that he was reacting. It wasn't the Nico tilt. It wasn't the... Right, it wasn't the push away from the table like that. It wasn't the bickering, or not bickering, but the talking under his breath, like getting tilted. It was the Nico just straight in, saying what he needed to say, and keeping everybody else in check, because he's that guy, right? Whether people sit there and go, "Oh, that should be the in-game leader's job," Nico is that guy, right? He is the heart and soul of the team because of all of his experience and the way he handled himself. I think that was the difference maker between winning or losing that series.
And I can tell you that in that Serbian interview, he said, like, they asked him, what did you say to the team? What happened after map 1? And he said, listen, I felt like, he had a good start on A, on H. They were going B, and he wasn't getting any, like, really info about what was going on and what he should, what he could have done on his side of whatever. So he just said, Inferno, don't be scared. Like, just go for plays, go for the moves that you have, that we have, right? Like, I don't want to lose this series because we played too scared to lose, right? And let's do stuff. He said, like, I don't want us to turtle up on the bomb site and for them to execute on us and for us to just die, right? And I think you could see that switch up in the approach for Falcons.
They were really motivated on that Inferno against G2, fighting at top banana, like activating Kiyosuke around the corner. It actually started slow, but I mean, Kiyosuke was huge on that map. Like MongolZ is going to get a lot of flowers for his opping in the last 2 maps, but I think actually one of the biggest reasons Falcons ever even won that series is Kiyosuke on Inferno. Like that's the best performance I've seen him at that B-bomb site on Inferno.
Wasn't it his best Inferno performance ever?
Probably. I mean, he was just getting double kill after double kill at a certain point in that game. Like, he started out a little bit slow, but then got into the swing of things, and he was just shutting them down. And he had so many impactful rounds. If he doesn't have those, they don't get to the Dust 2 that then MongolZ carries you to close out, Like, Kiyosuke was just a huge factor of why they actually win this series and qualify for the playoffs, which is great to see.
People are still going to pick Inferno against them. They're fortunate when they go up against Spirit that they don't have to worry about Inferno, right?
And like, no one's going to be scared because of that win, but I think it makes Falcons stronger, like themselves, feel more confident and comfortable on the map that they got a win like that.
It was his second best. It was his second best Inferno ever. His best was against Legacy, where he had a 1.61 rating. Here he had a 1.53 rating. So it's his second best Inferno performance ever out of the tiny sample size of Infernos that he has. 18 games.
I think Maui put out the stat on the desk of like 7,000 FaZe games, and like 16 of them were on Inferno.
I think that's, although that's crazy to me that he doesn't have more now that they're playing it.
Like, you should be getting the reps in
50,
in FaZe on
let's say, right?
Yeah, but
like
no one's paying it in FaZe, Yankee. You know that. Like, people are picking Mirage. They got Dust 2 in there. They got Ancient in there. Inferno's so rarely ever coming through in the Vito in a FaZe game. So, yeah, I think that's probably something to keep in mind.
I mean, it's clear he's put some work on it even outside of Face It. Whether it have just been them grinding it in practice or him watching some demos. Yeah, I mean, it's clear he's been that's been a point for them where they've said, you need to learn this map and this role, better than what we're getting out of you now. So, I mean, this is probably the most emphasis in whatever boot camp and prep they had leading up to the major. I imagine Zonic sits him down and says, these are my notes for you, Inferno. Figure it out.
If Valve are Falcons fans, they remove Inferno and add Cache.
Yeah,
that's how they buff Falcons, right? Like, think about that. Like, could you imagine?
But so if Valve are Counter-Strike fans, they remove Overpass and add Cache. I just said Cache like you said Cache.
Well, I've been saying Cache these days. I accidentally just slipped back into it, so that's my bad. My apologies. Yeah, okay, fair enough, Jason. Yeah. Fair enough. I can see that.
I mean, you can't argue with me. Overpass is the worst map in the pool right now.
No, you're right. You're right. I actually wholeheartedly agree with you. I hate overpass. I'm happy for it to not be.
If I watch Paravision hit the B bomb site back-to-back overpasses, like on the T side,
12 rounds
24 rounds in 2 matches on overpass. Like if any map where you can hit the B bomb site 12 out of 12 times and leave that half with a 7-5 lead, map doesn't work.
Or your opponent doesn't know how to hold B.
Maybe.
Either way, I don't like overpass. I think it plays too slow. But at the same time, it would be surprising if they add cash to the map pool that they would remove an exotic like that. They'd probably remove more of a standard. Like, I think if they do add cash, that they remove Dust 2. That's my thoughts. And it's not that I think they should. It's just that I think they will, because you've already got Mirage, you've already got Ancient. Imagine if you had Mirage, Ancient, Dust 2 and Cash in the map pool. Like,
it'd be an exciting map pool.
I'd agree. It'd be really brawly.
Some fucking brawly Counter-Strike map pool.
Yeah, it's very similar concepts, just different execution of util and stuff like that. So unless they change the map a lot, which also could happen. But they go up against Spirit, right, in this quarterfinal, and this is where it starts to get real hot because Yanko, you mentioned something about it before. Donk has a poor rating against Falcons, right? It's a 1.03 for the year, which for somebody like Donk, who's in God mode right now at this major, he came back with a vengeance. You look at this matchup and you go, because they can't get past Falcons, is that just Spirit's conversation stopping here? Or the way I'm looking at it, they've had more time. They've been able to integrate Tania. I didn't read the Donk interview the same way as everybody else read the Donk interview, where he's talking about being more of a team player. The way I read it was he just understands that he can't always just be running in, right? Like, he needs to be, like, when his teammates are in a better position macro-wise on the map, they're the ones that have to make the play. He can't always be the crowbar.
It's that, or his teammates pulled him aside after seeing that interview and said, look, dude, the best way you can help this team is just by killing everything. Like, maybe,
when they come his way in his positions that he plays on his side of the map, he will kill them. That's what Train versus Liquid showed me.
He's a freak, man.
But he literally cannot be everywhere, and he cannot win alone. Shiro helped him out a lot in certain situations.
Shiro was huge.
I think Tania and Zwei, their Train B defense, I was like, oh my God, well, this is like a car crash. Like, what am I seeing here? But I have a bit of faith in Spirit. I think that with Donk in this form and the type of prep that they put in, I'm hoping that Zwei and Tania are more comfortable within the team. And also their map pool, what they've been working on is quite a mystery. We haven't seen a lot of Spirit with Tania this season at all. And they also had the month off like everybody else from Hong Kong coming into this, the 3 weeks or whatever it was, to try and rectify things. It's just the short time frame. Has it clicked at this point where the others can deliver to a necessary capacity to, first of all, beat Falcons, who they struggle against, and then how deep can they go from there? That's the question.
I mean, the unfortunate thing with Spirit for me, I mean, I don't have faith in Spirit. I have faith in Donk. But the problem with Spirit is I feel like these changes of Zwei and Tania were meant to bring more firepower so that it doesn't have to be all about Donk. But I still am just like, if he ever just has an off game, this team is fucked. Like, there's no win condition for Spirit if Donk has a bad game.
Yeah, unless that's usually when Chopper pops off. But but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that goes without saying that if they were going to beat Falcons for the first time, it would have to be Donk not playing like he usually does against them. He would have to play much better. One of the reasons why Spirit went 3-0 is Train and Overpass, right? Like Train against Liquid, Overpass against MOUZ that they were able to eke out to win. Like, those are the two maps that they didn't really play all that often. Usually when someone tries to pick to punish or whatever. One sec.
Yeah. Oh. She doesn't like Spirit either.
She's not a Spirit fan. No Spirit fans in the Yanko household.
I think, I think that's like, they were a bit surprising that they were 3-0 in that sense. They won't get to play Overpass, obviously, and Train. I would be surprised if they decided to pick Training to Falcons, right? And if they don't do that, they won't see it in the map pool either. And once you look at the other ones, they definitely still have chances, right? Maybe the pool looks like something.
Mirage with Dust 2 pick, surely.
Yeah, that and then Ancient, and maybe the other one is a third, or right. But that's just where they hit a crutch. That's one of the reasons why they're losing. It's because they permaban Falcons' weakest map, which is a huge issue for them. So, yeah, I don't think I they play better at this tournament than what we've seen before, but I don't think the jump up is high enough to say that they're going to take down Falcons. It would have to be a signature sort of donk plus Shiro, hero carry performance, donk finding like some mental openings, donk winning hero AK rounds, Shiro winning 1v3s and some crazy stuff like that.
I'm cooking, boys. What if, think of this idea. What if we get like a fucking Copenhagen-style veto out of Spirit? They came into that major. Vertigo is the weakness. Vertigo is the scary map for Spirit. They never wanted to play it against anyone, and they surprised us all by busting it out against FaZe in was it the quarterfinals where they busted out that Vertigo pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, what if they do that with Inferno? You think there's a world in which
great
they come
for
into
them,
this?
by the way.
Did they lose that? No, I think they won that one. They lost in the semis, didn't they? Or am I crazy?
No,
they won. They won the map. They won Vertigo. But like, is that a possibility?
Wasn't it FaZe?
FaZe did it against Spirit.
Was it FaZe that picked it against Spirit?
Yeah, FaZe the ones who didn't play Vertigo.
Spirit led it through. Spirit led it through, and then they lost on it.
All right, well.
But
all right, we'll forget that.
But I get your sentiment.
But then that shows, to me, that's like Spirit. Well, I guess I was going to say shows weakness, but if they can't beat them and Donk struggles. But I think they're banking on Donk not struggling, right? Like that. I think that's the way they go. Like,
I think they're praying right now. I think they're walking around Budapest, finding every church of the book and making sure.
But I guess it's important to look at the context of those matches, right, where Donk has struggled. So let me just bring it up now. So the first one was all the way back in Blast Rivals to start the year. So that's like, is that correct?
6 months ago.
Okay, not Blast. Sorry, I was thinking Bounty. Blast Rivals, which was the 8-team event, right? And that is, they played Mirage, Ancient, and Dust2. They won Mirage, they lost Ancient, and they lost Dust2 16-12. So at that point, you don't really feel that they're too far off the mark. That was their first one, right? In that series, let's see which map Donk played the worst on, because he's the guy that we're focusing on here. On Mirage, he managed 19 kills. He was the highest rated player, 1.85. And then the ones that they lost is probably where he had the downturn. On Ancient is 0.83. And the Dust2 was 1.08. Okay, so Dust2, they could have used him. Ancient, they got blown out. Now, that was a studio event, right? So studio event there. I'm just adding the context. I'm not implying anything from it. I'm just adding the context. I can see people in the comments already. Chengdu, they played Dust2 and they played Ancient. It was a 2-0 for Falcons, 13-6 on Dust2. That was Spirit's map choice. So they didn't go back to Mirage, even though Mirage was the map that they had won last time. And then they lost Ancient 16-13. So another overtime game. And in those two maps, Donk was the second highest rated player overall. This is with Tanir in the team. Donk was the third highest rated on Dust2 at 0.87. And the second highest at 1.14 on Ancient, which is the one they went into overtime with. And that was, where did I say? That was Chengdu. So that one's quite recently. So, but the last two times they've only played is with Tanir. Tanir's only played like, 3 or 4 events with this roster? Anyway, where I'm going with this is they could have matured enough to make the difference, in my opinion. I don't expect it to happen, but I can see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, it
I'm just making a case for it, that's all.
Yeah,
I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility. I think it's the closest out of all the quarterfinals we have.
I think the only reason I just haven't, like, eye test, I haven't seen it in this stage 3 that they played, so I don't know if it's just so much on Donk and there's only so many kills to go around, but I still feel like Zwei and Tanir are just a significant weakness at the moment within this team. So it feels to me like they haven't actually locked and clicked in a way that makes them feel comfortable and like they can perform in their positions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it can't happen. Maybe it snaps into place. Maybe it all clicks now that they're in the playoffs. It's very possible. And you never know what team's going to show up on any given day. But eye test wise, it hasn't seen enough evidence to make me bank on it in any significant way.
That's fine. Well, let's use the other quarterfinals as the base of our conversation for the other ones. Does that work for you boys?
Yeah.
Yep.
We can jump around because some of these will be shorter than others. Yanko, you think FaZe have any shot against MOUZ?
Oof. I think it's rough, right? Because Torji on home soil, they're going to be the fan favorite for once.
Yeah,
in a way,
it feels like the first time ever.
Yeah, but FaZe got the job done by making playoffs, right? And now they can play with less pressure. And I trust their players more than I do MOUZ's. Still, I trust FaZe more than I do anyone on fucking MOUZ.
That's true.
In this big game, I trust fucking frozen more at this point because he's had a great tournament. Like, and if he doesn't go missing in these big games, like FaZe can surprise them. It's just MOUZ is much better as a team and all this stuff. They're playing better CS, but that all is not going to matter if they shit the bed again. FaZe smells blood in the water. Like, they're fucking getting in there.
I think MOUZ is going to take that too. I think it's going to be relatively simple. Like I'm all about FaZe magic and FaZe bullshit and all that jazz, and them kind of coming into the playoffs and having it figured out and getting locked in. But I still have seen too much inconsistency to make it feel like they're going to beat a team who's been consistently a top 3-4 team throughout the entire year. And I think this is. I think for MOUZ, having this be in Torji's home country and in front of the audience with him, I think that's an easy way for this team to get locked in a way that they don't have to choke, right? That's going to be, they're going to have been imagining this situation for the past month leading into this major with all their prep. Like, I think they're going to be so mentally prepared for the situation.
And that's going to be more pressure? You think it's less pressure? Because the way you framed it there, it seems like you're saying it's less pressure.
I don't think it's about more or less pressure. I think it's about them having a clear goal that gets them past the pressure of like, this is a game for Torji as well. Like, I think there's that extra element of it too, where it's just like, if I'm a player on that team, I'm just like, I'm not giving up. I'm fucking locked in every single round, every single second of every single situation. And, you know, if it's just for Torji, I think that team is going to be so laser focused and have such a strong mentality. I don't think we'll see any collapse or any choke. I think someone's going to have to beat them. And I don't know if this phase is currently constituted.
That's a good
like
framing.
It's fun watching them, but you know, there's a certain point where this FaZe team I don't think has the constitution to pull off the bullshit against the best teams in the world at this point.
My biggest issue is that map pool.
Sorry, the FaZe map pool?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say Torji and Brokey in the last 3 months. For Brokey, it's been longer than that, but looking at the last 3 months, they've been equally poor, like equally average. And sure, for Torji, it's against better opposition on top of all of that. But I feel like if Brokey can have the best game of this year for him, maybe that can be the difference maker to, you know, do something for FaZe, right? But you're kind of expecting an uptick in Torji's performance, considering the circumstances. And yeah, the MOUZ just has them beat on a lot of different levels.
This is where the map, like I was just going into the map pool. What would you guys pick if you're FaZe in this situation, right? So you're likely banning Train. MOUZ are banning Dust2. That leaves you with a map pool of Mirage, Inferno, Nuke, Overpass, and Ancient. And I think if MOUZ want, they can try and punish on Overpass. They also don't have to risk it depending on which map it is. Both teams have been shying away from Ancient in recent times. MOUZ's Mirage stats are not good, but when you look at their losses, they're to Falcons and Spirit. So we're not sitting here and going, they're losing to just nobodies. They're losing to other elite level teams. And then it's like, I don't know. I think like when I think about Nuke, I worry about FaZe because the games that they won, a lot of them were like eking by, right? A lot of them were NIP 16-12. They Red Canids 19-17. They lost to fucking Fluxo 13-7. So I know they beat Vitality on the map 13-7 as well, but that was a best of one, and they were warm. So like I just have questions of where they want to take it in the veto. So that's where I already see some issues. But in terms of the player side of things, like what Yanko was talking about, I have trust in the twists. I'm building trust in a Frozen. I still want to see Frozen when it like really, really matters.
Do you have trust in Jacob? I mean, he showed a great level in stage 3 and end of stage 2 and did some incredible things for him. But now we're going to talk about, if we want to talk about pressure being on some of the MOUZ guys, surely the major rookie coming into the stage for the first time, who doesn't have a lot of stage experience prior to the major.
Compared to McKenzie and compared to Kiyosuke, he has no stage experience. Yeah. Compared to those other two. So, yeah, that's a massive factor. Does Jacob have the minerals to deliver? Because the conversation around him has shifted. I think people obviously were... Alex had a good term. Alex has used the term when we were talking the other day. He called it the donk delusion, right? It's like when a player comes in out of nowhere, because of donk, the expectation is that the player will just be fine. They'll just be able to play the same way they did online or they did in whatever team they're in. But that's the donk delusion he framed it, which I think is a great coinage of a term.
It is. It's not bad.
Because, we look at these players, and once upon a time when we were talking about these guys, what would we always say? Oh, they need experience, they need time, or they need this, they need that. Now the expectation is this guy sucks, he doesn't deliver, this guy's no good, he's never going to make it. It's like, well, you got to give him time, right? Yep. And he's worked into the tournament. He's definitely looking better. I think it's hard to take FaZe over MOUZ, considering the circumstances, but that's why I want to take FaZe. Because I haven't taken FaZe at any turn. You know, like that's why I want to take it. And
Sure.
I thought that we were going to be getting out the shovel and we were going to be burying this narrative 6 feet deep, but we can't because FaZe pulled it off for stage 2. They pulled it off for stage 3.
All right. If MOUZ loses to FaZe in the quarterfinal, do you think
FaZe
that
can't
warrants
beat
a
FURIA.
roster change?
Oh, where do you go?
Let's
I
go
don't know.
back to the
Actually,
Opera
I don't necessarily
conversation.
even want to have this conversation. I don't want to derail it again.
Let's
Can
go
we
back to
save
the
it for
same.
if they lose? Let's save
Yeah,
it for
yeah,
if they lose.
I'll just cut the op conversation from earlier in the episode. And I'll just paste it in every time we mention an opera.
But what do you think? So let me ask this question because this is less analytical of a question and more of just like a vibes question. What's a more fun semi? FURIA versus FaZe or FURIA versus MOUZ?
FURIA versus
Furia
MOUZ.
phase.
Oh, I'm with Yanko.
FURIA MOUZ, because MOUZ is one of the few teams that beat them.
Yes, out of like
Recently.
FURIA's last like 17 series, MOUZ is the only team that beat them.
And
I just said
this.
there's no more entertaining team than FaZe, obviously. So if they make it through that quarterfinal, like I feel like that's gonna be
No,
gonna be
they're not.
fireworks.
They've lost that, bro. That's not true anymore. They're
I don't know,
entertaining in
man.
stage
After the
1
games
because
they
they almost
played?
lose to fucking Red Canids. Like that's, you know, like they're not entertaining when they go up against.
Hey, they're the
MOUZ.
only stage 1 team to ever make it all the way to the playoffs.
Wow, in all the 2 tournaments that you had.
Shut up!
Thank
Don't
you,
bring in the
Yanko.
contextual logic. Just give me the fucking stat, dude.
Thank you, Janko. Thank you.
Well, they're talking to the wrong
Jesus.
analyst, Jason, for that. But I think it would be MOUZ FURIA would be more fun because of that, but also because MOUZ at that point has won 1 stage game, going up against second. And I said on that Kamir podcast is like, this is the ideal scenario for MOUZ. No one is talking about them as a legit contender for this trophy.
I did watch that whole podcast, by the way.
How come?
What do you mean? You were on
Oh,
it.
yeah,
I
you
sat and
actually-
listened to the whole thing with
Thank you,
and
Chad.
with Nero. I watched
Because
the
of
whole
you.
thing.
Because
It's good.
of
I like
you.
how he brings like it's stuff that I didn't know that, but then it's like, yeah, this actually makes sense. Like
Yeah, some of
adds
the,
to the point.
plot
It paints
graphs,
the
whatever
picture,
the fuck
yeah.
he calls them. I don't know what he calls
Yeah.
them, but yeah, they've got
Yeah.
names. Yeah.
I would have watched
I-
it, but I was watching Magic the Gathering YouTube videos.
Yeah,
Fucking
nice.
guy.
But you know, they're flying under the radar, and in each series, except the phase 1, they will be the underdog, right? And I don't know. I think maybe they could surprise. Maybe they can ruin someone else's dreams.
Do you think they
know, at
ruined
this tournament.
Furia's dream?
I don't know. Just so hard to go up against FURIA with how good they've looked, right?
But
If FURIA stumbled a little bit, but I think there's a chance. There's a chance.
I mean,
There is
there's no
definitely
way
a chance.
Furia looks this strong throughout the entirety of the major. Like, there's gonna have to be a game where they stumble a little bit and get tested.
The problem is sometimes that is the trap, right? Is when you are going all the games
When
you're
you're
stomping,
white hot, yeah.
Yes.
right? You're stomping everyone, and then
Yeah.
you come into the semifinal, let's say against MOUZ, and all of a sudden you lose the first map, like you lose their map pick. Let's say.
It's not a wake up
And now
call.
the-
It's a fucking
Not the
whack
first
around
time.
head.
You're like, shit, like if we lose one more map, we're out,
Yeah.
right?
They
Or
only got
the game
tested
gets
in-
close. So that's the problem. They got tested in other tournaments, yes, all of that, but sometimes that can be a bit tricky to deal with.
They've only been tested on 1 map in their 4 maps they've played so far. That
Yeah,
was
somewhat
G2
tested.
and Overpass.
But
yeah.
that's also playing from ahead after having
yeah,
a
yeah.
9-3
That was a
right? So-
comeback test, right?
Yeah.
Not like we have to do it ourselves.
They have been owning, right? Like
Does anyone-
yeah.
yeah, I was going to say, does anyone think now we will beat FURIA?
No.
Well, if you look at the last 5 maps, because we obviously work the TWC, right, Yanko? That's
Yeah.
the reverse sweep. But if you look at the last 5 maps, it has been. Well, no, wait, last 4 maps, excuse me, not last 5. Utter domination. What are we talking
Yeah.
like? It's 13-2, 13-1, and then I think maybe
13-5, 13-8.
absolute domination.
Yep.
But here's what I will say. I'll chalk the most recent result up to a best of 1. But it's hard to then forget about what happened at the tail end of that best of 5. I think NaVi have the foundation that's very strong. It's going to be heavily determined by the players. So in the clash, you've got 4 major winners up against 1. So it's how are they going to hold on to, like, this is where the base of NaVi, if they're getting shaken, can hold them in, right? Whereas if the individuals of FURIA go missing, what holds them together? So I think FURIA win. Like, I think that they win. Whether it's, I don't think it'll be as convincing. I think that NaVi will put up more of a fight. It'll be a closer series overall. But I think FURIA win. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think they win.
I think FURIA wins. I think it can be close, especially if Wonderful continues this level.
He's been in great form. Shout out to Wonderful.
Yeah, he's been incredible. Man. And good things said about him by Blade in this interview as well. But I think if for whatever reason, like that's not an established consistent level yet, maybe he gets fucking mentally reset coming into the playoffs and he plays poorly.
Fair.
I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to depend on his performance. I was actually really pleasantly surprised by NaVi's level coming into this major because I thought they were going to be on the struggle bus, but they looked so clean when they stepped in and still maintaining some fights and still having some really strong games to qualify through the playoffs. But considering where my expectations were at the start, I can't see them beating FURIA. I can't see it.
It doesn't feel like they've overperformed like NaVi. It feels like they have performed to what their actual expectation should be, right? They should be a playoff level team in my mind, right? And they've done that when but that's it. Obviously, if they beat FURIA, then they exceed past expectation.
I mean, they beat Pain, Paravision, and Bait.
Exactly.
That's like the teams that you expect them to beat. They can't be losing to those. And they did have some tough losses recently, but... And that's the issue with sometimes, you almost wish like it was NaVi versus G2, right? So that, I think like G2 may be the better team at this point in time and a bit tough draw for them in the best of threes in the end and how things played out because Falcons played both Bait and Passion. They couldn't play them again and all that stuff. But, you can only play the opponent that's in front of you.
Go on.
Sorry, Jason, you go.
I was just going to say, even NaVi's like stage 2 run doesn't have like any impressive victories in it either. Yeah. Like it's FlyQuest, Imperial, Bait again.
And they did 3-0 it,
and they look good, but then they've lost to Vitality and FURIA. So when they face off against the top dogs, which are all the top dogs are in the playoffs, that's where we've seen them kind of get smashed or lose.
But this is it. They've done the job that was asked of them with the teams there. Yep. So that, if they play against FURIA and they win, then they've overexceeded. But the thing is, the teams in the playoffs couldn't be better, right? Like maybe G2 for MongolZ, you could say, or G2 for FaZe. Maybe someone could argue. We'll get to MongolZ in a minute. The thing that people can't shy away from is these are the worst possible matchups, though. Yeah. Like we could have had much better like round 1 matchups for different points of excitement because MOUZ versus FaZe on paper looks one-sided. Falcons versus Spirit on paper looks one-sided, but it's super exciting because of Monacy, Nico, Kiyosuke, Donk, right? Like Ashiro. Those 5 names make that super exciting. Then you look at the Vitality versus MongolZ game. Well, the last 2 of those have gone in the favor of the MongolZ, but that was still with Senzu. But shout out to Controllers. He's playing great.
I think that game, low-key, that game has the most upset potential.
Really?
Vitality the MongolZ, I think, has the most upset potential. The reason why I picked MongolZ for the playoffs is one reason only.
Controllers.
It's because they've evolved to the point where the pressure doesn't really get to them. And going to a tournament that's the highest pressure environment, that's worth its weight in gold. Right, like I knew other teams were going to choke before they're going to. Like they're not going to go below their B game just because it's the major, while some teams can fall off deeper than that. And, Techno playing like it was EWC against G2 definitely helped. And I was impressed by Controllers. I mean, didn't really have expectations. Didn't seem like they lost a step compared to Senzu, which is such a crazy thing to say. Talking about the, map pools and whatnot, I mean... Overpass would be a punish for Vitality. They don't feel good enough to pick it. MongolZ will definitely get the Mirage plus something else, Inferno Nuke in the pool, like if they can stay alive. And also, the reason why I don't have Vitality winning the major isn't because I don't think they're capable of it or whatever. I think it's because they lost to all the other contenders in the last couple of tournaments, right? And the reason why they were winning all the time was because they had the mental edge over other teams, right? Like they would always, especially, MOUZ is the best example. They will always find ways to beat MOUZ, right? Like that same thing happened against Falcons in Rivals and in Melbourne, obviously, right? Against all these other teams, they would just be beating them. But you see, once you lose once or twice, all of a sudden that invincibility, aura that you've almost had, the other team doesn't feel that you have that anymore because they've beaten you, but your players also lose that. They lose a little bit of confidence, right? It's not like you think you've gone to shit, but it's obviously different now that you're going up against a team that you've lost to previously, or you lost to recently, or you even lost to them without winning a map, right? And I think that psychological edge, the mental edge that they don't have anymore that they did, is the reason why they won't win the tournament. Because there were times that other teams maybe played better CS than them, but they had that edge. They had people choke against them. I don't think someone's going to choke against Vitality, right? Like,
you mean of a MOUZ, of a Spirit, of a FURIA, of a Falcons type level, or even even MongolZ?
No, I don't think the MongolZ will necessarily choke. I think like if Vitality goes up against, Vitality is going to have to beat everything. I don't think teams are going to beat themselves anymore against Vitality. And that was the case in some of these games before. Like teams were just beating themselves.
In the first season.
NaVi
they were
beat
making
themselves against Vitality the other day.
Yeah, they lost 13-11. I mean, both maps, which was like kind of crazy how close that game was.
It was really
I think there's a universe in which MongolZ beat them. That's a universe in which Vitality starts losing and they start spiraling, sort of, right? And we've seen that happen before, where it just sort of gets to them. I don't think it will happen against the MongolZ, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, look,
I mean that also requires MongolZ to be playing well enough and being good enough competition to get to a point where they can choke in the first place.
Well, but here's the thing,
you know what
right?
I mean?
Yeah, but MongolZ handled all their games, right? They lost to Imperial in the opener, okay, but they 13-9 Liquid, they 13-7 FaZe, 13-4, 13-6 G2, and they played a different map almost every time. The only map they played twice was Dust 2. So they handled it. Now, was that G2 playing poorly or MongolZ playing well? Maybe a bit of both. But Control is the highest rated player in the stage. He's never played on a stage like that before, right? Like not like that, not like a major. It's meant to be 20,000 people or something. So is he going to be able to maintain that level of form, and is that a win condition for the team? Like, I shouldn't question him because I questioned the fact that they would even make it to playoffs, and they're in the playoffs. Yeah. So I'm more sold on the MongolZ than I was before, but this is what I want to believe. This is what I want to believe. I want to believe that coming into the second half of the year, Vitality was still depleted. Their mind wasn't 100% on the task. They'd already achieved the greatness, and they're still getting top 4 every event. They're not as locked in as they should be. And the major is that time. It's like, okay, this is the major back to back. Let's lock the fuck in and treat this the way that we have been lacking on. Zywi went on James Banks and Dev1ce thing last night on the Starlight channel, and he said that he was a bad teammate for the last couple of months. That's what Zywi said about himself. So, I think that this is the let's play as we know we can play event for Vitality. That's why I have them winning. That's not going to be easy.
That's interesting. It's interesting.
It's true, but that would have been enough 5 months ago for them to win. I'm not so sure it's enough for them to win now.
Well, the field has changed. The field is definitely
I think my curiosity around the MongolZ and how they'd perform, and my thought is does anyone know, did they boot camp before this?
Yeah.
They were in my place.
Didn't you see the tweets? What, are you getting muted on Twitter or something? What are you doing, Jason? Stop playing Magic the Gathering, bro.
Dude, I can't. I got to get that Planeswalker deck. I got to get that Planeswalker deck up to snuff, It's got to take out fucking Connor's Fairies, fucking Harry's got this little evolution bullshit going on. Alex is doing something over there with squirrels.
Can we talk about the CS?
Yeah,
please?
sorry. But that'd be my question is there enough prep now for MongolZ to feel
they actually
comfortable?
Practiced for this event,
on the map pool. So I guess that kind of answers the question in a way. I don't know. I find it impossible to have faith that the MongolZ are going to be able to pull off an upset, even though I've been surprised at how much they've been able to maintain the level with controllers coming in. I still find it it really hard for me to like think that they have a chance at the upset here.
All right, so Falcons Vitality
Well,
semifinal.
let's just do the overall, right? Because like I think Jason and I both think Vitality. I think do you think Falcons, Yanko, or do you want Falcons?
I mean, I obviously want Falcons.
I want
think-
Falcons too, to be honest with you. I want Falcons to win. I want Nico to have his major. That's my favorite storyline of these playoffs.
I would love it for it to be Falcons and FURIA in the final because that way, you know,
Everybody
I'm obviously
wins.
I would be
Everybody
cheering. I would be
wins.
cheering for Falcons,
Nico.
but I wouldn't be mad, you know, if Fallen got his as well.
Yeah.
And I think that would be cool. I will say that the only way Vitality wins the major is if they don't face FURIA in the final. Like if MOUZ takes down FURIA and then it's MOUZ Vitality, I think that's how Vitality wins. If Vitality plays FURIA, FURIA wins, I feel.
If
Like,
it's
That'd be a fun
MOUZ
storyline for the
Vitality,
final.
bro, what would that be? How many times have they played this year?
that would be the worst final. That would be the worst final, I think. It's safe to say.
Why?
Of the major.
He's
I
right,
don't
it
know.
would be. It'd be
It's
so
just
anticlimactic.
same old-
We don't
yeah.
know what's going to happen, bro. We've seen it every time this year besides Cologne. And think about that final. MOUZ
Yeah.
versus Spirit, Jason.
Yeah, but I think it'd be a fun storyline with MOUZ having overcome the Vitality demon at the start of the second season. And now you have one last crack at it to show that you've gotten over the hump.
The only way that's the best final is that situation. MOUZ overcome it, Torji wins the major.
Yeah.
But I like the Falcons FURIA final. I like the Vitality FURIA final.
I mean, let's be real. The actual worst potential final is NaVi versus MongolZ or something.
Yeah, true.
And I think,
Okay.
yeah, but that's, come on.
Yeah.
But I think for Falcons, the toughest, I mean, obviously Spirit game is not going to be easy. Donk has a 1.73 rating in stage 3, right? Yeah, it's not going to be the same against them, but still, you can never take a game against Donk for granted. But let's say they get over that. I think Vitality is their toughest game. Like the semifinal against Vitality potentially would be their toughest game because they're a good Inferno team. And obviously the history between the two teams, I still think Vitality is a very strong team. I just, for some reason, don't think they will end up lifting the trophy at the major. But I think if they can get over that and get to the best of 5, I mean, if it's FURIA on the other side, no Overpass, no Ancient, they're fine with that. I think Falcons have a good chance there. When I just look at the maps, FURIA still would be the favorite in that one, and then against anyone else, they have an even better chance. So,
Well, gentlemen, this is one of those scenarios where we could go around in circles talking about the outcomes until the cows
We
come
could
home.
go around in circles.
I think we've had a nice conversation. I would want to cap it off with one thing, though, just so we've talked about everything in the Counter-Strike realm right now. I'm going to sneeze. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll hold it in. That's not what I want to talk about. Is it coming?
Talked yourself out of a sneeze. That's
Maybe
kind
I
of
did.
cool. Dude, that's a superpower.
The PGL Singapore Major. Because
I'm
if
pumped.
we don't touch on it now, it'll go past the news cycle and then we won't touch on it next time, right? So we may as well. For those who missed it, PGL announced that the second major of 2026 will be in Singapore. That's somewhere that Silverview and PGL have been before. They've done TI there. They've done a whole bunch of other events there. And it's somewhere that, as an Australian, I've been to a couple times. It's a nice place there, Singapore. Blast had an event there. I think Blast did some Dota there recently, and it's a great turnout. There's a lot of pushback from the audience, at least the vocal audience online, on Twitter, on Reddit, everything, being like, oh, it's going to be a shit time zone and everything. And that does suck. That is unfortunate for the people who are going to suffer that. But I mentioned this on HTV Confirmed. I think there's a shift coming from Volvo, right? Shanghai was in 2024. Singapore is going to be in 2026. I think that there will be another China major in either 2027 or 2028. So that would be, if that's the case, right, there would be 3 majors in the time zone of GMT plus 8 over the course of 4 years, which is a shift from Valve, because Valve picked the majors.
Well, I think
to understand.
I think, well, first of all, I would say to the viewership thing, I would say continuing to assist the building momentum of Counter-Strike in Asia is far more important right now than like capitalizing on the viewership, although the time zone is going to be hard to manage. It does seem like Valve are trying to move majors around a little bit more to where maybe they have a concept of like European major, Asian major, America's major, and whether it's North or South in some way. But I would say, the big thing is, I would say the excitement for me on a certain level, and Chad, I hope you're on board with this one, is if we're going to start having Asian majors, let's throw a major down in Australia. 100%. Like if we're gonna be cool with the time zone like this, let's get an Australian major, because that crowd fucking bangs. We know they're gonna show up. We know they're gonna pop off. And all of a sudden now that giant fucking island down there seems like a very attractive place to throw another major.
And everybody, if it's the second major of the year in fucking November and December, it'll be summertime, and then you can all stay for holidays, and then Prof can do the award show in Australia, and then you can all come to my house. It'll be sick.
Bro,
we just
what if
let's do the award show at your house.
100%. It's right on the beach. We can do it.
Let's
It'll be
do
great.
the award show at New Zealand at the little Hobbit village.
Oh, for fuck's sake, bro.
Oh, come on, Jason.
That'd be cool, no?
But quick sidebar, not sidebar, still main topic. Shanghai, sick crowd. Hong Kong, sick crowd. Singapore, sick crowd. Australia, sick crowd. So like people who are going, oh, it sucks. It's going to be a bad viewership time for me. I understand that, and it does suck. But there is a big turnout of crowd in these places. There is clear want for people to go to these events. So like, and you would also have, where was the last major? Last major was
Austin.
Okay, so then we've got this one that's going to be obviously in Budapest, and then the one after this one is going to be in Cologne. And then if you had another major next year that was also Europe, that'd be 3 like real Eurocentric ones. That's what Prof brought up on Confirm, saying like we'd have 3 back to back, which isn't bad because the biggest his group is from there. But like I think some variety is nice, and I'm excited to see what happens. And look, if
I've heard only good things about Singapore as well.
Yeah,
from the blast guys who were there said it was awesome. Yeah,
can't eat chewing gum and don't have any marijuana in your system, or they will kill you.
Oh, well, that's easy.
Yeah. But well, maybe they put you in jail. I don't know if they kill you. Maybe I went a little bit overboard there. But either way, point of this is that the more that the game can get popular, which it clearly is because the crowd sell out, but the more that we can get more people from more parts of the world as Counter-Strike lovers, the bigger Counter-Strike can become, and that's good for everybody.
It's great for everybody.
It's great for everybody.
It's what everybody wants, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be there to do live shows, all 3 of us. Right, guys?
Well, it's PGL. You should get hired for that one, right?
Yeah, you should be cool.
Hope so.
I think Jason would be there. Jason and Dinko will be there. Me and Alex, I don't know.
I can never know for sure.
At this point, Yanko's got no guarantees going on.
Either way, I'll go regardless because I'll probably just be in Oz at that time of year if I'm not doing the major. So I'll come up and say hi.
Yeah.
All right.
And all right.
Cool.
Well,
that's my last talking counter for 2025.
How's it feel?
It feels a bit sad.
Okay.
I'm happy that it was with all 3 of us. No, I mean, and not that your last episode was just 2 of you doing a 2-part series from a hotel room that has no proper cuck chair.
Well, it's more like a cuck.
It's a cuck chaise
cushion.
lounge.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Someone could be cucked on
cool.
it. Yeah. Okay. Let's get out of here.
All right. See you, boys.
See ya.